who is the right replacement forward, just in case Harry Kane gets injured, just in case we need to do some rotation because we are playing 60 games next season. We are comparing the top 5 Premier League proven strikers that are available for the right price. We've even might, if we need to, drop in a few players outside of the Premier League that we've also been linked to over the last few weeks. This is a stat review show. We've got some new faces, some old faces, and some evergreen faces. Let's get started. This is the Spurs Talk Show, second edition of the day. It's madness. It's madness. That's how boring summers are when you are Sean Butler. Spurs Talk Show starts right now. Lovely touch from him, though. Harry Kane, Lucas Moura, can you do something, please? Last chance. Matt Doherty! Oh, you shite! There could be from the dead to the fuck it up now. Go and win it. Let's go. Last chance. Stephen Bergwijn through. Win it, Stephen. Come on. Yes! He's won it! He's gonna win it! Oh my God! We did it! Check this out! Times 2 for the day. I don't know why my internet is struggling. Not sure if that's affecting everyone or just me, but I can see a streaky stream. That's not good. Hopefully that will catch up in a second. Ladies and gentlemen! Oh, it is Wednesday. It is the 2022 version of June the 15th. Earlier on, I said that it was June the 16th. It's not. It's June the 15th. I've just gained a day in my life. Yes! It's like finding £10 in your pocket in a pair of jeans that you haven't worn for 6 months. I just gained a day in my life. What have you gained today? Not that. Hope everyone's doing well. How's everybody doing? Second time today. Today's earlier show was just about trying to find out how everyone felt. If we don't sign Christian Eriksen, who do we sign? Where do we go? I'm not entirely sure if we got any answers. Today, this evening, right now, we are going to find out how everyone feels about the forward, the backup forward, not saying backup. I know certain people hate that word backup. The rotational player, the player that can come in and support Harry Kane, Sonny, Kulusevski, and probably Lucas Moura, because we think that Bergwijn's leaving. So what we've done today is we've gone and done the 5 players that are in the Premier League right now that are tried and tested. And we're going to go through the stats like we did last week. We did it last week for the left-sided centre-back role. That was quite a successful and popular show. We're going to do it today for the forwards. And if we need to, but only if we need to, not if we don't, we can also compare and contrast a few players for, I'm not sure if a few counts as 4, several counts as 4, I think. 4 players that are outside of the Premier League that are within reason, that have been spoken about. If we need to bring them in, we can compare them as well. We're going to do that in a second before we get going, before we come into the comments. and find out who's here at 7 o'clock on a Wednesday. What we're going to do first is we're going to bring in people in the chat. There's going to be 4 of us tonight, 3 guests. 2 of them are here right now. One of them's coming a little bit later on. We're not going to start the comparison show until he's here. We are going to talk about a few bits of news first. But before we get to any of that, let's find out who is here. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time. This guy has been on the show before several times, but it was a while ago. I kept asking him back. He said, Sean, I can't. I've got work. And his work is the sort of work that takes you away for time. He's back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's find out who it is.
All right, next contestant, spin the wheel again, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, making his way all the way. He's been in Waterford, in Ireland. Apparently a place I've never heard of, but apparently a place that's beautiful, picturesque, and where he's met celebrities and he's going out and doing his thing in the movie business. He's back today. Let's bring him, make him feel welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, you know him as Mr. Adam William Cahill.
What's the story, mate? The king of introductions. How you getting on?
Trying, man. I try. I'm good. I'm hot. I'm sweating. It's hot in London.
Isn't it? Yeah, man.
How you doing, buddy?
Now it's roasting here as well. Absolutely. It's incredible weather, and we're inside, and we're going to be for about 6 million hours talking Spurs on YouTube. That's what you should be doing on a Hot Summer's Day, isn't it?
I actually turned down a round of. I was going to play 12 holes or somewhere between 9 and 18 holes this evening, and I went, nah, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to come and talk Tottenham instead. How have you got an indefinite amount of time?
I don't need to be doing anything else for the rest of the evening. So unless my girlfriend ends up sending a message me saying, Adam, will you please just give me some attention? Then I'm pretty sure I'm okay.
Okay. I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. Nice. Hey there, mate. We got somebody else, ladies and gentlemen. You know him. Well, let's find out who it is first and foremost. Let's do the guess.
All right, next contestant, spin the wheel again, please.
Guys, ladies and gentlemen, you know him as the man, the artist, formerly known as the guy who used to put numbers in his name. Now is the guy who continues to put numbers in his name. The audacity of him. Please welcome back to the show, my man, my mate, Cuba 99.
Evening, Short. I'm loving this intro tonight in particular. It is daytime.
I forgot what time it was. I forgot what day it was and what day of the month it was as well. Yeah, how you doing?
Oh, yeah, good here, thanks. Some nice bit of transfer news to talk about, isn't it? There's the speculations ramping up every day now. We've seen a few coming through the door, and it just sends the imagination going. How many are we going to get?
Yeah, well, listen, I'm quietly optimistic, boys. I am. Like, don't get me wrong. Bissouma, one of my first choice. I've been talking about him for months. I absolutely adore the guy. I think he's going to be fantastic. I think Perisic is going to be fantastic. I'm not that excited about Jed Spence. But I think a lot rides on Christian Eriksen. A lot rides on him, and I don't think he's necessarily coming. Manchester United have come out today, and they put in an official offer to him to join their ranks. He has come out and said he'd like to play in the Champions League, but it's not necessary. You know, I feel like for him, he's probably thinking the highest bidder wins, and Manchester United are not making really any moves yet. So they might come out and just say, you know, here's a number that you can't turn down. And if we don't get Christian Eriksen, you know, I said this on the show earlier. We dropped 25 points last season to low block, mid-level, mid-division teams or bottom half teams. Like, to me, fixing that, solving for that is more important, I believe, than a centre-back, because we only conceded 5 goals in our last 11 Premier League games. We only conceded 8 goals in our last 15 Premier League games. If you extrapolate that out over a season, you're only conceding 20 goals over the whole season. So we're trying to go and spend 60 million on Bastoni. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. Happy to try and do it. Happy to get Bremer. Happy to get those guys. That's fine. But not conceding any more goals is not going to get us to the promised land. Being able to break down the low block teams is. And so I think there's a lot of I don't know. There's not enough names that we're being linked with in the 10 role, in the Christian Eriksen, in the Milenkovic-Savic role, in the Paqueta role. Like I don't see too much happening there. And if Eriksen decides to go to United,
I think the big moves are happening a little bit more silently though, because I mean that Basuma transfer did come out of nowhere. Do you know what I mean? So perhaps there's names being bantered around just to confuse the situation so that people don't know exactly what we're going for. And if the Christian Eriksen thing could materialize, but we could end up getting a Paqueta or someone who is of the same milk. I do think Yves Bissouma though, as much as his defensive stats are more impressive than his offensive stats, like when you watch him playing for Brighton, like he's able to just boss players around the pitch. He's able to get the ball forward. He's able to progress, and some of his shots from distance are absolute, they're screamers. Yeah. So I think that there's a degree to which we've already got maybe 30 to 50% of an answer to the low block.
If that's it, I don't know. If Basuma's our midfield answer, I'm not entirely sure. Kuba, what
it's not 100%. It's not 100%.
I think. There's another way of looking at it when you're looking at the likes of Basuma and strengthening the defense. Is if you get that rock solid, it allows players to be more adventurous going forward. That would in turn help with the low block. Now, I would be much more interested to see if we're going to get a couple of right wing backs and another left wing back. To go with Perisic on the left, but I think both need replacing on the right. Personally, I know you. Okay. I know you like to give Emerson time, but I don't see it myself. Okay. There is one player today. Certainly today's the first time I've seen us being linked with him. A very interesting young player in from Porto, Fabio Vieira, and anybody that's used to watch the under-21 tournaments like the European Championships last year, he was the player of the tournament. He really caught the eye. Portugal finished runners up to Germany, and this kid could pass. He could put it on a sixpence from range, and he's got a really the really long range passing. Fabio Vieira.
I've even heard of him. Fabio Vieira, as in like Patrick Vieira. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Liverpool were really heavily linked with them last year, and it didn't happen for some reason. I suppose because they got Thiago already, they're probably thinking there's no great hurry to get him yet. Perhaps a little bit prohibitive with the buyout clause being 45 million or something like that at the moment. But he looks such a damn good player. He can really pass and unlock the defenses. That is exactly the sort of player we're after.
Let's talk about him.
I prefer to go for him than Eriksen. As much as I loved Eriksen, that ship sailed. A
lot of people are saying that. A lot of people. It's very divisive. It's a split opinion on Eriksen. And my split opinion on him is, if he wants to come, I'm happy for him to come. But if we put all our eggs in him coming and he decides to go to Man United, then I think we could have a problem. But we will talk about that, guys, in 1 second. I haven't said any hellos yet to the guys that have come in. There's 85 people that are watching on YouTube already. Wow, amazing. Thank you, guys. Please hit the like button and the subscribe button if you haven't already. Let's find out who's in the house.
You should be out playing golf, Sean.
I'm playing golf tomorrow now instead, so... it's the nice weather. Summer's here. JGR Mackie. I want to call you Make, Mr. Make. He said, Sean, he did this earlier, an hour and 20 minutes before the stream even started. He said, Sean, remove Martial and Pookie and add Jesus and Berardi. And what I did do on the back of that, even though I didn't change the thumbnail, I did remove Martial because he's only played like 10 games this season. And I did put in Jesus. I didn't add Berardi because he's not in the Premier League. And this is supposed to be at least the first part of it is a Premier League review. But I appreciate you coming in, my friend. Thanks for stopping by. Amir Sada's in the house. What's happening, Amir? Good to see you, mate. Looking forward to this one. Well, hopefully we won't let you down. Lukey's in the house as well. Good evening, big man. Good evening, Lukey. How you doing, my friend? I saw you this afternoon. Saw you twice today. Adrian Stroker's in the house. Good evening, guys. How are you, mate? Good to see you. As is the hottest Spur. He says, let's just say it. Conte's going for the league. I think he is as well. I'm getting excited. It's just there's still a lot of work to do. I know it's only like day 5 or 6 of the window opening, but there's a lot of work still to do, and we're going to talk about that. The Queen's in the house. What day is it, Shawnee? It's not game day. It's stream day. Yeah, I like that. I might keep that. Good to see you. Chris Agomba's in the house. What's happening, Chris? How are you, my friend? Talkies. Derek Smith is saying yes and no. Don't know what that is about, but
it covers all the bases.
Every opinion. You've heard it here first. Brian Maguire's in the house saying, Sean, I love your laugh, man. It's cool. I appreciate that, man. I agree with it myself. Thank you, buddy. A lot of people find it very annoying. I am going to bring out a new laugh for season 2. It's going to be like something like that. I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. Luan Lottie's back, the Man United man. How you doing, buddy? He's back again. Good to see you, my friend. Hotspur TV also back from this afternoon's show. Has to be Jesus. Well, yeah, we're going to talk about that. I was looking at the stats, and Jesus is, I'm not going to do a spoiler too much, but when you're comparing against some of the other guys, he does have amazing stats. However, we have to factor in the cost of getting him versus the cost of getting other players that we're going to be reviewing. Mark Grumpy Cousins is in the house saying, big up, Sean. Are you going to read my comments this evening? I will. I'll do my best, my friend. I will do my best. I'm always getting in trouble. Derek Smith saying, evening, Sean. Watching the end of Jack's stream will be over soon. Not that my involvement will make or break your show. It will make or break the show, mate. I'd love you to come over because Jack, as soon as Jack's finished there, he's actually joining us as well. So it'll be a nice transition. On your bike, Scott.
And he'll see that you've cheated on him.
Yeah, he'll see that. Yeah. Delete the comment. Delete it. On your bike, Scott is back as well. My number one member. How you doing, my friend? Oh, what was that? Something just fell. Who else is here? Scott Hyndham's in the house. Big up, Scotty. Good to see you, mate. Kelvin Fletcher's also here saying evening, lads. As is Carl Higgins. Good evening, good evening, all up the Spurs. Eddie Ryan is in the building. Get Ericsson in. That will be our midfield sorted. Then we can sort out our defense. I agree. Eddie, we are talking about the forward line today because there is some needs there as well. Bobby K. Remember, how you doing, Bobby? Lovely to see you, mate. Off to work. Just a quick jump on to say hi to everyone. Enjoy the stream. Enjoy your work, man.
Bobby.
Stay safe out there. King Hoddle's in the place saying, where did I just got lost? What did I get to? King Hoddle saying, inject more Spurs serotonin into my veins, baby. We'll do our best. Carl Higgin, who else is new? Aaron Dove's back. What's happening, Aaron? Just to clarify what Adam said, it's 19 degrees here. And yes, that is roasting for us. Yeah, man, I feel the heat, dude. I feel the heat. I don't like the summer.
Remember, it's 19 degrees. It's 19 degrees in the shade, right? So just remember, when you're out, you're like sitting directly in the sunshine. It is baking.
Baking hot indeed. Good to see you, Aaron. Peter Simmons also in the house. What's new then? Basuma is old hat. We're not talking about Basuma today. Jethro Zulu. What a name. Haven't seen you before, buddy. I would have remembered that. Ericsson is not keen on Conte and his grueling. Ericsson not keen on Conte and his grueling training. Maybe. I've heard a couple of people say that today, actually, that he might walk away because of the work, the risk on his heart. If he's got a risk on his heart from running around too much, he shouldn't be playing football. So I wouldn't put too much weight on that
anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's been well and truly sorted. The medicine's too good for dealing with it nowadays.
Yeah, let's hope so. Derek Smith, what's happening? Who else we got? Marlon Green's in the house. Evening, Shawnee, Coover and Adam. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, member, man. Marlon, I'd love you to see you, buddy. I'm going to have you on the stream next week, hopefully, bro. Hopefully. Anthony Gray's in the house. Evening, all exciting times. It really is. As is Josh. Big up the panel. Big up, Joshy. Good to see you, my friend. Who else haven't I said hello to? Andy Midge. Hi, Coover. Just got in and was about to mention him. Is this the player you mentioned a minute ago? The
Fabio Vieira.
Vieira. It'd be nice to be able to sing Vieira, whoa, Vieira, whoa. It'd be good. It'd be really good. Who else we got? Oh, we got Chris. Chris is a new member. Thank you very much, Chris. You
Big
said
up,
you
Chris.
won today. You didn't have to, my friend. There's never any pressure on that stuff, but I really appreciate it. As soon as I get to, I think we're on like 15 or 16 members now, man. I really appreciate the support. As soon as we get to like 25, a decent amount, then I'm going to be doing members only, the kind of fan shows and all that stuff. So, and it doesn't matter what level of membership you have, I'm going to be opening it up to all. So on that basis, anyone that has taken the £5 pony, the Spurs Talk Show pony level membership, if you did want to relegate yourself down to the Spurs Talk Show puppy membership, I don't mind. There are other benefits of being a pony rather than a puppy, but access to the stream is not going to change regardless of which.
So membership to your stream is literally pony for some people.
Show ponies, the Spurs Talk Show ponies, and the show
let's
puppies.
go with that then. Okay.
Paul Mansbridge in the house. What's happening? Every time I see your name, Paul Mansbridge, I feel like you're Manscaped for some reason. I always think of Manscaped, but Mansbridge is in the house, as is England's best lover. It's a bit bolshy, that. I think you'll find Coover is England's best lover. Oh, yeah. Cody's here in the house. What's happening, Cody? We'll play golf when you come visit, Sean. Love to, mate. Love to. 100%. Yeah, massive fan of golf. KR4CH, Cratch. I'm going to call you Cratch. Berardi is very happy where he is. That move not going to happen, I think. Yeah. I don't think so either. I also don't think it's necessary. I think that I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think that for me, Emmanuel Dennis ticks every box that we need for the amount of money, but we'll talk about that in a second. Peter Simmons, yes, no, maybe, if.
That really covers every base.
That covers absolutely everything. Who else haven't I said hello to? Alejandro Perez, what a name. If I saw Tottenham were linked with an Alejandro Perez, I'd be like, sign him. I don't care where he's playing, what he's done. Sign that guy. He's got a fantastic footballer's name. You Stupid Foos back in the house. Love this guy's name as well. Martial, an option for you guys, or is he not a Conte guy? Well, look, I added him because I do think he would be available. He'd be cheap. I think you could get him for 25 million. He's a lot of talent as well. He's just not doing very well at Manchester United, but I do think he could cover a lot of bases. But he hasn't played that many games this season, so it's difficult to really compare because I'm using all of the stats for this season only, purely because there's a couple of players like Emmanuel Dennis that haven't had 2 seasons in the Premier League, so it's difficult to compare players of different if you're having different spectrums of periods. Who else have the saluted? Terry Wright's in the house. What's happening, Terry? Good to see you, my friend. Born to Lose 73's in the house as well. Good to see you, mates. I hope you're well. Smart Scrumpy's here. Still got to call out every comment, otherwise I get called out by him for not calling them out. I know what date it is because it's the first day of the river fishing season tomorrow. Enjoy, my friend. Enjoy. Mano's in the house. He wants Alexandra Isak. Okay, we can talk about him as well. We can talk about him. Stuart727's in the house. Evening, gents. Kuva is on almost every stream. Popular guest on all the bet. He is a popular guy. He gets around.
Cheers, man.
He's the community bicycle.
Slag.
Damianos is in the house. What's happening? I like Zaha, but he's 30. I think Zaha's best days are behind him. Who else we've got? Lazy 8, another new member. Nick, my man. Thank you so much, my friend. Going to have you on as well very soon. Mate, I appreciate the support, dude. It means the world to me, man. I really appreciate it. I also need to reach out to you to get some graphics and things done or some video stuff.
Yeah, fantastic graphics.
New videos. Yeah, shout out, guys. If anyone's doing a channel for anything at all, reach out to me. If you don't have this guy, Lazy 8 Nick, his telephone number or his email address. If you're trying to get your any like graphics or videos or thumbnails or any of that stuff done, Nick is your man. He does everything for the Irish Hotspur, and he does a brilliant job. So, mate, Nick, really appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much. Last but by no means least, who else we got? Cole Higgins. Good to see you, my friend. And Modest. Don't know what I've done there. Did I say something? There's maybe something. I'm probably said something that's annoyed someone. Right, Hart Lane's in the house. Good to see you, buddy. And Moline is also here. And I think that's everybody. Nice. Welcome all. Thank you for stopping by. 110 people watching on YouTube. Another 25 across the socials. If you haven't already, please hit the like button and the subscribe button. And why not tap that little notification bell as well, so you know when we go live? Because on this channel, you don't get much warning. We just go whenever we get the itch. We are an impromptu streamer. Okay, boys. Before we get into the main footage, we're waiting for Jack to come over from his show. There's a little bit of news that's coming out. I don't know. I want to drop this one just because it might be necessary. Tottenham defender Joe Rodon has picked up what looks like it could be a serious injury for Wales in their dramatic defeat to the Netherlands. He's out. Listen, I don't know how long he's not out. If he does stay, he's not going to be out for Tottenham till the end of the season, till the end of the summer. But this might put some sort of. Do you guys think he's going to be moved on? What do you see as the
pointless keeping him, isn't it? He's not even a bit part player. He's just like not a player for us. It's somebody's just we're paying his wages to just sit in the reserves, basically. No point, is there?
Yeah. So so do you think this is an injury to him? Is going to be it's going to make the chances of getting rid of him or selling him on to whoever would want him more difficult? It looks like there's no real details. They don't say what he said he hobbles off, but it could be a serious injury. Yeah. Are you concerned about it?
Yeah, because we need to shift him on. It's no good him staying here. It's no good for him or us. He's wasting his career. He's got something to offer a team, but it's not us.
Where do you see him going?
It's going to be somewhere with a more sort of old-fashioned style of playing. He's not a sort of comfortable on the ball, sort of possession-based type player. He's an old-school centre-back. So the likes of Burnley coming up again. I'm sure they'd do something with him.
Yeah, do a lot with him, I think. Yeah.
I mean, especially if they're letting go of the likes of Tarkovsky and things like that. He might fancy that. He could get them back up again.
Adam, what are your thoughts, mate?
This is Rodon we're talking about. I missed the name, sorry. Yeah, it's definitely the problem only lies in trying to get rid of him now. It's definitely not a blow for us in terms of a requirement for the pitch, because every single manager has turned him down, and there's not a single of the last, the 4 managers in the last 2 years, not one of them has given him the light of day, and probably rightly so. So I mean, it's just a case of not being able to shift him now. But what would Rodon have gone for? What's his market value?
Well, I personally think we paid 10 million. Just so I know, guys, can everyone in the comments, or can you guys on the chat? Am I jumping around? Is my stream struggling, or are you guys able to see it in? Yeah, if you're okay, yeah, okay.
Looks all right to me.
When I'm looking at my screen, it's jumping around. So I think that we paid about 12 million for him, didn't we? And I feel like if we were to let him go now, we wouldn't get our money back. But there probably is a player in there. So I'd rather let him go out on loan, to someone like Nottingham Forest. Maybe that could be if Conte really wants Jed Spence, really wants him. I'm not that bothered about that deal, but if he really does want him, maybe sweeten the deal by letting. It's not even Nottingham Forest, it'd be Middlesbrough, wouldn't it? Maybe send Joe Rodon to Middlesbrough on a loan deal, get him some proper experience. I don't know. I just feel like if we let him go now, you're not going to get any money back on him at all. Whereas he could go somewhere, do a decent job, and then next summer you could sell him for 20 million, maybe 25 if he did a
fair
job.
Yeah. Isn't this the problem though with so many of the Daniel Levy signings though? So we do this, we get them in, they don't play for us, so we get them out on loan. They still don't play for us. We don't get a profit on them.
Yeah.
We do it over and over again. He's a prime example for me. It's just not good enough. It's much better to move him on. Just get whatever you can for him. It's almost cruelty to keep him on our books. He's just not going to make the grade. Clearly, he's not fancied by any of the managers, as you said. Why keep him? It's another one of these. That you can be too optimistic as a fan with players. I think I'm sorry, Sean, digging you out a bit of there on Emerson in some ways, but like you said, you keep him on for another season, he'll improve. I think with some players, there's not enough there to look at and think, I can see where he's going to end up going with he's got this attribute. With Rodon, I do not see a comfortable footballing player there. I see a more of a rugged centre half, and that's not going to fit in with what we want really. Possibly as a centre of the back three, but there's better options out there, especially when you get mention the name things like Bremer and things like that. I mean, he's a different class altogether. I mean,
if we can bring in two centre backs, then one of either Tanganga, him, or Sanchez is definitely going to get moved on, right?
Got it.
We don't need any more. We're about to bring in the next guest so we can get down to the meat and potatoes of why we're here. But before we do bring him in, just another member, Derek Smith, my man. Thank you so much for the support, my friend. This is awesome. I really, really genuinely appreciate everyone's attention and their support. Like I say, we're gonna be doing lots of member streams only. And I honestly don't mind whichever. I'll look after the show. And I'll reach out to the guys that are the show ponies. And if you want to downgrade to the puppies, no problems at all, because I'm going to be adding out the.
I'm going to be puppies out. The rest of it's pony.
There will be benefits for those who want to stay as the ponies. I'm confusing myself. We'll deal with it later. But I appreciate your support, Derek. Mate, it means the world to me. Right, ladies and gentlemen. Who do we have? We know who's here. We already know who's here. Let's just give him the welcome he deserves. Somebody's at the door. There's somebody at the door. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for the man, the myth, the legend from the Flat Cap Euro Talk. He's come straight over from one stream into this. You also know him as the Irish Hotspur stat man. It's Jack Kanicki. How you doing, Jack?
Hey, everybody. Sorry for being late. I didn't even bring any food or any gifts to this dinner party, so not really starting off on a good point.
No problem at all, man. Are you well? I saw your show. I was watching half of it. And in the background as I was preparing for this, so it was great.
It went well. I would say, actually, I think Kieran did pretty much all the work for that one. I pretty much just asked him questions and then watched him just go off for 10 minutes on every single one. And I probably was able to add about 1 minute of my own analysis to each of those questions. That's how good Kieran was doing.
He's a very knowledgeable guy, isn't he, Kieran? Yeah.
I would say check out it was a spectacular performance, I must say, by him. There were so many times where I actually felt like he took all the points I was about to say, and then I was just kind of like, well, I guess we're just going to move on. And yeah, we finished in about an hour and 15 or whatever it was. Beautiful job. Good to be here.
What's the name of his channel?
Let's Talk Spurs, I would say. But everybody, watch that space. Absolutely smashed it.
I'll try and find the link at some point and I'll drop it in as well, because he's really good. I've watched him a few times. He's very good. But Jack,
sorry for being late. Ready to do some work. Sorry for being late.
Not at all, mate. Not at all, my friend. All right, guys. Just before we get going, there was a couple of other things I want to talk about in the news. Just over the past couple of days, we've been linked again and again with this fella from Udinese, Destiny Udogie, another left back. I don't know if there's any truth to it. I know it's all speculation, but am I allowed to infer from the fact that we are still being linked with 2 or 3 different left backs at the moment that maybe either Perisic is not intended to be a left back, or that Conte doesn't trust having Sessegnon, who's injury prone, and a 33-year-old who would be the only really reliable backup to play 50, 60 games, because Doherty, even though Doherty can play there, he's not particularly good in that position, and he's got his own injury that he has to recover from, and who knows how easy that will be. Should we be expecting maybe another left back signing before the end of the summer? And is Udogie the guy for you? Come to you, Jack, first on this one.
I was just asking Kieran this, just now. Is like, are we actually serious about signing another left wing back? And like, if we are, what does that mean? Because it makes you then think like, is Perisic going to be playing left wing back? Is he playing like every position in the team? Because I think Nick or somebody said like he's going to be a utility player, perhaps like Perisic. Like 1 week he'll be playing right wing back, the next week he'll be playing backup striker, for Conte or something. So I have this. Yeah, Adam, I can tell.
Sorry, man. Just before we go down a rabbit hole, as far as I'm aware, he's literally we're going to do a Papamatta Sarr with him. It's literally
With
bring him
Udogie.
in to send him straight on Udogie. Yeah, just send him straight out on loan.
Oh,
he's
really?
not there.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not there for us to bring into the first team next season.
Yeah,
he's literally going straight back out on loan.
I was going to say then, it's like, can we really bring in another wing back? And then if we are like, because we've been linked with like 3 left wing backs, like not even just Udogie. It's like Windell, that guy over in the Eredivisie as well. So
and
I think
Vidran
Adam's
Yilmaz.
spot on. I think Adam is spot on. That's probably what we would do, is get one that might be able to replace Perisic in maybe a year or 2, and one that can be prepared to make the Premier League move in like a season, prepare himself mentally. And then someone that, who knows, maybe Conte might find some use for in like a year or 2 or something. I don't know. I think Adam's spot on. I see us probably getting another left wing back, but not one that will actually be in our squad for next season. I think that's right.
I think it kind of reminds me. Let's do a Star Wars reference, isn't it? So Perisic and I forgot his name now. Udogie, is it? It's kind of like the Jedi Master and his young Padawan, if you like. You've got the one that can do it right now, and the other one that just
baby Skywalker.
Yeah, he's learning the ropes from somebody like that. I could see that being a sensible move. You get in the
Perisic carrying him in a backpack, through the jungle.
Yeah, why not? You learn from one of the best left backs around and improve your game while you're training every day with them. But I think he's what, 18, 19, something like that. Udogie, he is very young. So perhaps it does make more sense to just loan him out for the first season again, just so he can develop naturally more first team football.
So yeah, Muno here is saying don't forget we've got Davies who we can fall back on too. So on that basis, then, if Udogie is if there's noise, if there is a little bit of a fire to that smoke, then but he's going to come in and go straight back out, then I'll ask you this, and Muno's saying we have got the backup of Ben Davies, but I don't think any of us like to see him playing left wing back. Just quickly, like, are we okay then with starting the season, if Reguilon disappears, starting the season with Perisic and Sessegnon, and then Doherty as a makeshift left wing back when needed? Like, given Sessegnon's injury proneness, and given that we've got 50-60 games to play in an ideal world, and Perisic is 33, is that too much pressure to have on the guy? Adam?
I would 100% want to bring in another left wing back anyway. I think bringing in a Udogie because he's so young and sending him out, it's a smart idea. You have someone that's there on the books, getting trained up somewhere else, getting the time and experience in somewhere else. But he's ours to use if we need him in the future. But Perisic for me is someone that I think he's there as like, as Kuva was saying, he's there to train the younger guys. And I think for me, having Sessegnon as the only left winger who's coming up in Perisic's shadow is not enough for me. I don't like. Again, the fact that he's injury prone, I don't think he's very good personally. He did a decent job towards the end of last season, but so did Emerson, and I'd want to trade up on him too. So I don't actually want Sessegnon at the club personally, to be honest, but I don't mind him being there if we got somebody else in who would get deference to him. I wanted a Kostic over a Perisic, but ideally, is
that dead? Do you think one's dead, Adam?
I have no idea.
It's all gone quiet on the Kostic front.
On the Kostic front, it went very quiet. But I mean, even if you got in someone like a Windell, a Stupinian, these lads are really, really solid. I think they do a much better job than Sessegnon being understudy to Perisic. And then if you have Sessegnon and say Windell both able to play on the left, then if Perisic has to play even on the right sometimes, if we don't bring in any, if Spence comes in and he's no good, Perisic can play alongside Doherty on the right. Do you know what I mean? I do think that Perisic is better as that utility player, someone who can come in. Perisic could come in and play in that front five arrow. He could play anywhere. Do you know what I mean?
He can. He can literally play. He can play absolutely anywhere. He's like
anywhere.
The epitome of an all-rounder. He's like
exactly.
a Freddie Flintoff, if you wanted to use a cricketing analogy. Can bowl, can bat, can keep wicket if you needed to,
And he's got two legs that are as good as each other. He doesn't have a preference. So I think that having Perisic is a genius move, especially getting him, for nothing. But I feel like we've got to improve so much on the left wing still. I think because Perisic for me is the utility player, and I would definitely bring in somebody else to play above Sessegnon for sure.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
just super quick. Oh, sorry, go on, Cooper. Crack on.
I was just going to say I'd agree with that as well. The trouble with Sessegnon is I think it'll be. I doubt many people are going to bet against it if I say we'll never see the best out of Sessegnon because he's going to get injured again before he has a run in the team.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't bet against that, would you?
He gets injured. He gets injured recovering from an injury.
Yeah.
Who does that? You know,
even if he didn't get injured, lads, he's not good. I'm sorry, he's just not good.
He gets injured as a backup, though. Like he gets injured as a backup. Like that's the kind of the crazy thing. Like as much as he played a big role last season, it wasn't like he was really starting that many games. Like when you really look at it, and he's still like struggled to be fit. And to be fair, this is kind of the part about Sessegnon and the left wing back question you brought up, Sean. I'll be honest, I've probably given some bad answers because I said before that I think we are good. But now that the more that we forget that Sessegnon is actually probably one of the most injury prone players in our entire team, it does make you then feel like you can't just have just Perisic and Sessegnon, because there will be a point in the season when Sessegnon is going to be out for 3 weeks. You know, we just know that's going to happen.
I think it also makes
are we thinking then that Reguilon maybe isn't going to be sold? Well, we're all presuming that he wants out, but we haven't heard much about that, have we?
That's true. We are all just assuming he wants to. Yeah, we're all just assuming.
I'm sure he'll go.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely convinced of it. Yeah, I think this also brings into context just how useful Doherty is to have as a squad player because of that versatility playing either flank. See, you wouldn't want him to be your first choice for next season, but as a squad player to come and fill in, he's shown he can do that quite ably when he has to.
Yeah,
and there's no sell-on value. The problem is with Doherty too. There's no sell-on value, so you're just going to have to keep him. And like Kuva just said, if he needs to do a job somewhere, he can do a job somewhere. You know, and
before his injury, he was playing incredibly well.
Yeah, that's fair too as well.
But
what I meant to say is like, there's no reason to sell Doherty because you're not getting any money, out of Doherty. So I think you just keep him as long as Conte finds him useful. You just keep him. Where someone like Emerson actually has sell-on value. Like you can get most of your money back for someone like Emerson. Whereas Doherty, I mean, I'm sorry, no one's going to pay more than $2 million for the guy.
I think what I particularly liked about Doherty was the fact that when he was getting so much criticism, he just came out and said, "Look, I know I'm not playing well."
That's right.
And then he just went away, got his head down, worked on his game, didn't whine, didn't complain, got on with it, came back and showed that he'd improved. And I think that's a fantastic attitude. It shows other players in the club that if you put the effort in, you put the time in training, you can get your way back into the team. It's kind of an inspiration for a few of the fringe players that he should be. So I like it purely for that sort of attitude and the versatility. Well worth his place in the squad. Yeah,
I agree. Listen, I don't know how long we have Jack for. I know you've only got about an hour and a half.
I got plenty of time. A bit longer than that hour and a half. So
okay, perfect. Good. Well, I just want to finish off a bit of news then. Last bit of news about the non-striker stuff that's come out this evening, or that's come out. At least what I'm looking at. One of the players that we're going to be reviewing, and I've spoken about him a dozen times, is Emmanuel Dennis at Watford. But according to Corriere dello Sport, Tottenham are also considering a move for former Barcelona attacker Gerard Deulofeu.
Deulofeu.
Deulofeu, is that his name? Deulofeu?
Remember, he was at Watford.
Yeah, that's why I bring him up. He was the ex-Watford player. He was okay at Watford. He wasn't a bad player at Watford, but he's been at Udinese, enjoying it. He had a good season at Udinese, 13 goals, 5 assists in 34 appearances. That's better than what Emmanuel Dennis did at my thing's all sorts of scratchy this season. Anyone have any thoughts on Deulofeu?
Don't remember.
He's one of the most hyped players. I think that guy was supposed to be one of the best players in the world, I think, at one stage. He was one of those La Masia graduates and was he was playing with Barcelona. He actually played games for Barca alongside Messi, I even remember at one stage. And then like a lot of Barca academy players, the moment that it stops going well for them at Barca, it stops going well for them anyplace else after that. So I don't know, Kuva, if that's how I remember him.
Yeah, he
like
certainly
at one
seemed to have
stage he was good.
Yeah. He certainly seemed to have lightning pace at the time. I remember him when he was at that stint he had at Everton. And you're thinking,
that's right, he was at Everton too.
Yeah, a little bit of trickery, and with that kind of pace, you thought, oh Jesus, this is going to be a really difficult player to shut down, and he just didn't end up really pushing on from there. There was lots of promise, and then just fizzled out a bit, didn't he?
If I remember, he was a bit Raheem Sterling kind of. He was similar to like Sterling, like just couldn't finish. If that's what I remember, at least. Sitters left and right. Left and right. That's what I remember about him.
Says the man who told me off for spending too much time with Bob Spur.
It's addictive, man. Every time, my mind is always looking for another eye. Yeah, it's silly. It's crazy. All right, and last but by no means least, in terms of there's another bit of news which I'm not going to speak about today. I might talk about it on my morning walk tomorrow with Bugsy. Is La Liga have filed a complaint to UEFA alleging Manchester City and PSG have breached FFP. There's probably a big nothing burger. La Liga are just always a little bit jealous when they get, gazumped or screwed over because of other players. Nothing ever happens with it, but I will talk about that probably tomorrow rather than spending too much time talking about finances today. The last bit of news before we move on to the main attraction of the evening, guys, is that Torino have said that they are still waiting for an offer in black and white for star defender Gleison Bremer. Nobody has made a concrete offer for the player yet. And they are, I'm now inferring from the article that I'm reading, but they're obviously waiting for Inter Milan to make one, Tottenham to make one. They have Gleison Bremer's representatives were in England over the last few days talking to maybe Tottenham about signing him. Obviously, we know Inter are trying to get him as well. What are your thoughts? I think we all would like the guy. And tell me if I'm wrong. You guys would like him. I don't know if you will or wouldn't, but is there a reason why there's no concrete offers? Is it this whole Inter Milan thing that kind of the cog, like everyone is waiting to see what Inter do with the strikers?
Domino effect.
Yeah. Jack?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you've coined this before, I feel like, Sean, where you've said like it's like a Mexican standoff or something, where it's like once one person starts shooting, then the rest of them start shooting, and then I think it's they're all just pointed guns in different directions at each other.
You go first.
Don't you dare bid for Bremer. Don't you dare. And I think it's like the domino effect, like just said too. And I feel like Inter Milan is the whole crux of this situation. It feels like any Serie A move is basically centered around what Inter Milan do. And it's pretty funny that Inter Milan have no money, but every player wants to go to Inter Milan, I think, at this stage. And also there are all these players that Inter Milan want to sell that want to stay at Inter Milan, which I also find kind of funny. So they are in kind of a tough situation, that team. If I'm going to be honest, I would go for Bremer, especially if we can't get Pau Torres and Bastoni or Gvardiol. Someone brought this up before that what if we don't get Gvardiol, Bastoni, or Torres? Are we going to go for our fourth left-sided center back choice? Or maybe do we just go for Bremer and then maybe get like a long lay on loan until maybe you can get Bastoni the next time, or you get Gvardiol the next time. The next time. So maybe what we do is we actually go for Bremer. That's our big money center back signing, and then hold out for that left-sided center back that we know we need. The problem with that is that Bremer, he can't play the left-sided center back position. I think he'd be playing Dyer's position or Romero's, and that is the complication there, is like we really do need somebody that can at least play left-sided center back, because as much as we want the improvement on Davies, it's also just that there is no other left-sided center back other than Davies at the end.
I think the thing with Bremer as well, well pointed out, Jack, that he can fit that central position. And because of that, I suddenly started thinking, you know what? I always wanted Bastoni, but if we don't get Bastoni and we just go absolutely hell for leather and get Bremer and then Gvardiol on the left, you just think of that Romero, Bremer, and Gvardiol. Who's going to dare go near our box with them three?
It'd be absolutely insane. That would.
That's almost a Football Manager backline, actually. This looks actually unfair.
You got those three, and then you've got like Basuma and Højbjerg patrolling or just controlling, just in case. No one's going to be able to break that back.
The poor bones of the other team.
Yeah, a lot of injuries.
A lot of sliding tackles.
And what about Sven Botman? Like, is there any interest? Like, do you think if you can't get Bremer, Sven Botman, he's a big 6'5" guy. He does. Tottenham are liable to concede goals. When we do concede goals, we usually concede from the air. And a lot of people, to your point, Jack, a lot of people that I've spoken to in the community, they actually would rather like Dyer be dropped. Of the two, like if I said, who would you rather have? Would you rather have Davies plus new central centre back plus Romero, or would you rather have new left-sided centre back and then Dyer and Romero? I think more people have said that they'd rather Davies be a starter and Dyer be dropped than the other way round. So maybe if getting a left-sided centre back is too hard, maybe we should just, like you say, go after the central side and then figure out, next year how to.
I'm only saying that because do you settle for a fourth choice? Like, you don't do that with many things in life, do you really settle for the fourth choice of something? Because when you get that fourth choice, you're stuck with that fourth choice. Like, it's not like you can just get rid of them and then get Bastoni. So
unless Lenglet would be a loan, which would be a fourth choice.
But unless you do a loan move, exactly.
Yeah.
But as you pointed out in your previous stats video, Sean, like Longley for a fourth choice, this guy is actually probably should have been second choice. What I mean, or maybe first. And you got to like as Jack pointed out, the fact is we only have one left-sided centre back. We have three players who can play in rotation in the other two positions, but at the left side we only have Davies. And what it really comes down to for me is that the only person that seems to be able to marshal everybody and be a general in the back three is Dyer. I don't know why.
Where's the leadership without him? Yeah.
Where's the leadership without him? As bad as he was when we played it with a back four, once we switched to a back three, that guy was able to make sure that he got the guy on the players on either side of him working to their best, positioning them where they needed to be. He has a really good football brain. We call him moon boots for a reason. The guy can't run. He's not fast. There's a lot of things he can't do, but the guy knows how to organize the back line and he knows how to block shots, and that's what he's there for. He's the last line of defense before the keeper. He will put his body in front of the shots. And we have to remember as well, when Dyer wasn't playing, when he was out and had his injury, the team fell apart. Dyer came back. That back line was organized again. It is way more important to replace Davies than it is to replace Dyer. And I don't mean replace and get Davies out. I just mean to get someone in that's better than him so Davies can be our second string.
Isn't it funny how you can see things differently? Because with Dyer, I don't see him putting his body on the line. I see him doing that little twist to the side that he does.
Yeah, but man,
he puts his body on the line, but not his face.
He's scared of the ball.
He's not scared. Trust me, when that ball is being launched at you, if you putting any part of your body in front of it is a brave thing to do. He's just protecting his face.
I know what Kuba's talking about though. There was one. I think it was the one against Brighton. It was the one against Brighton where he turned his, the Trossard, moment where Trossard did that big fake shot. Dyer turns like he's about to be splashed with water, and then and it just led to a goal. And I think there was that other one. Was it after the Brighton game or something where one of the goals it was against Leicester City, that goal that we conceded from Iheanacho's, he like turns his whole body there as well. Those are like two isolated moments that, of course, especially the channel that I'm from, we really beat up on Dyer for those, moments, I'll admit. And probably we more likely pick out the moments that Dyer does fail and does probably, hurt us than we probably pick out the moments that, Adam was just talking about, which are...
I wouldn't say they are isolated. This is one of my pet peeves about defending, is when central defenders do not stand there and just take the shot.
But he does. He twists, but he does. He will get... Dyer always puts himself between the ball and the goal. Always.
I see the John Travolta movie. He's just missing sticking his arm up like that.
Just because he twists,
you compare it to what Ben Davies has been doing. Like, that's a player throwing himself in front of the ball.
Yeah, but Davis is quick though. Davis is rushing in. He's doing his sliding tackles. He's being a lot more physical in terms of different maneuvers, shall we say. Whereas Dyer is literally just get my body in front of the ball, and that's all he needs to do as the last line of defense. Yeah. And again, what I'm saying, the main thing about him is it's not just that he's a great shot stopper, and he is, but he's also controlling the other two guys around him, getting them where they need to be. And when he's not in the team, the back line didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
Just quickly as well, like Bremer is like what we basically said. He's like a more aggressive Romero, essentially.
Yeah.
So when you put him in the middle of that back three, that is going to be an entirely different play style to how Dyer plays. Where Dyer, like Kuva just said, or even Adam said too, like Dyer's probably the most withdrawn of all the center backs. I feel like he probably engages the least of all the three center backs. So when you put in Bremer there, I don't know. Like, I don't know anything. Like, does that mess things up by putting in someone that's like exceptionally aggressive when maybe you do need somebody to be a bit more like withdrawn and like
do we know if Bremer is able to properly control the back line though, because that is what Dyer does, and we have to remember that Dyer also speaks multiple languages, so that's really helped him. He's always been able to turn to the guys who speak any Latin language.
Romero doesn't speak English yet, or very few words.
No.
Bremer probably only speaks Brazilian, or sorry, Portuguese.
Yeah,
he only speaks Portuguese, or he probably only speaks Portuguese.
Dyer is fluent in Portuguese. He speaks very, very, very good Spanish, and his Italian's not bad. So he's able to actually talk to everyone.
I've said it many times on your show, Jack. I think it's an underrated asset. And I think you've got.
It's overlooked. There are no stats for it as well, and it gets overlooked.
Imagine that if FB refs put in a stat for languages spoken.
Moon bootsness.
Also, Argentinian Spanish is quite similar to Italian as well in a lot of ways.
That's really true.
Okay.
So Bremer would be able to communicate with Romero as well, presumably, from that point of view.
But Bremer speaks Portuguese.
All right. Listen, we're not here to talk about. We go around this.
Oh, he's Brazilian, isn't he?
Yeah,
but he's spent time in Italy, so I'm assuming he will have picked up some Italian.
That's true.
Well, before because I'm going to come to Faz Radfar's super chat, but just the last thing I'll say on this one is a really interesting point. Is Cratch has Cratch has said that Bremer. I don't know if it's true, but if it is Cratch, it's a great insight. Bremer has to stay at Italy for like 6 more months to get an Italian citizenship.
Interesting.
That is interesting. But yeah, I've never heard that before. So
like he's planning on getting his Italian citizenship is what they're saying? Like
maybe that makes the decision to leave.
Pulling a Jorginho. That's cool. Yeah. He's pulling a Jorginho. Very cool.
All right, before we get into the what the title of the show was, we're only an hour in and we haven't spoken about it yet. It's fantastic, typical Tottenham.
Oh, sorry, there's a really quick one as well to mention on Pau Torres.
Yeah, go on. Okay.
He's an interesting one for me because he can play that left-sided one, but he could also do Dyer's role very easily because he's not really one you'd note for getting stuck in. He's more a sort of standoff, read the game, intercept the ball, use it, pass it well. He's kind of almost like a sweeper in a lot of ways. You rarely see sweepers nowadays, but it's more like the old style one. Just get the loose ball, pick it up, use it wisely. So Torres would have more than one string to his bow. He could be an interesting signing from that point of view.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just looking. I'm scrolling up. Oh, George, we've got another member.
Wow.
Georgie.
Come on, George.
Sorry, George, I missed it, mate. Another one. This is fantastic. I'm almost there. We're almost at the number now to be able to start doing the fan phoning shows. This is brilliant.
Pony club's going insane.
We're going to get some ponies up there. We're going to get the whip out and all sorts of things. It's going to be crazy. I really appreciate you, George. Thank you so much for the support, my friend. I won't let you down, buddy. Thank you as this channel tries to grow. Faz, I'm so sorry, mate. We spent ages and ages. I've been meaning to bring it up. This is the last topic before we move on to the striker review part of the show. And we'll try and keep this. I mean, this could go around forever. This is like a half an hour discussion in itself, but we'll try and keep it simple. I'll come to Kuva first on this one. Conte and Paratici is the best thing that's happened to Tottenham Hotspur for years. What are your thoughts, mate?
Conte, certainly. Paratici, I'm not going to say negative or positive yet. We need to judge him over the course of a few years, I think, to really see his impact. But so far, got to say, quite promising. If we're going through this summer and it turns out he's done it all on quite a modest budget as well, and we're getting the likes of Perisic in, why not? We don't have to go out and spend massively. If they're the right players, like Perisic certainly is, that's a sign of a pretty good director of football, I'd say.
Yeah. A lot of people out there are still I did this thing the other day. Is it Don Paratici or Con Paratici at this point? And how do you feel? And the people I had on the stream were saying the jury's still out. One of them said it's definitely Con Paratici. He's not good. I think the jury's still out. I think you can't tell yet. You know, you have to with directors of football, you can't really look in the moment. You have to look with the benefit of hindsight. You have to reflect. And I think any director of football needs at least 2 years to be able to look back and say, well, what did you do? How have you done it? And thus far, I'm impressed. Thus far. But if we go and buy just a Jed Spence and we don't get a left-sided centre-back, you know, or if something like that happens, I worry that we're still weak on the flanks. Mm-hmm. You know, if we get Jed Spence and we start the season with just Emerson, Jed Spence and Doherty, and on the left, Sessegnon, Perisic and Doherty, I still think that for a Conte system, that's pretty weak on the flanks. You know, so
the one thing I think people probably know where I stand on this, but the one thing I would add is when you do look at Paratici and Conte, they're breaking all of the bad habits that Spurs have always had.
Yes.
Whether it be the transfer market, whether it be like, you know, players that they go after, whether it be the scouting department, whether it be how much money we spend on a player, you know, whatever it may be. A lot of
how much money we spend in a window.
How much money we spend. Thank you. It's all these bad habits that we were complaining about just a season ago, 2 seasons ago, when it came under, you know, when Steve Hitchen was director of football, when Nuno was coming in, all these sort of things we've been complaining about, rightfully so. But we're starting to see, I feel like, all those old habits of Spurs sort of being kind of like undone, or at least just not repeated in a similar fashion, which I think is kind of interesting, is that the scouting department's being completely completely redone, which is kind of scary to think about, that like Paratici is like practically gone with an eraser over everything that Steve Hitchen has done. He's practically just going over all of it. And then on top of that, when you do look at the fact that we are also making early moves instead of late moves all of a sudden, like why is it that all of a sudden we're doing early moves when before we thought we couldn't, you know? And
quiet moves as well. Quiet.
And
like,
quiet
moves.
Was
fairly quiet, you know, so...
Well, sort of quiet. Like it seems like Paratici, right? He loves leaving, you know, the whatever it is, you know, the Easter eggs. He loves leaving the Easter eggs for all the transfers. But I agree with you. And that's all I would say is I think obviously people know what I'm going to say for this. But the one thing I would add is that a lot of the old habits and bad habits that Spurs have been so used to have all been broken by Paratici and Conte.
And Adam?
Yeah, I think that... Definitely, the jury is out in, you know, because we need to see what happens in the long term. It's very, very difficult to nail your colors to the mast when you don't know what could happen in the coming weeks, months, and years. But as it stands, I would predict that we're going to have a tremendous tenure under those two, because the only bad things you can say about Paratici is just that the signings we got when Nuno was manager were duds, but they were Nuno signings and he was a dud. The instant Conte comes in and we had the January window, we got Bentancur and Kulusevski, two of the best signings, the two best signings in probably in a January window for a decade, never mind, you know what I mean, like just for that, you know, comparing with all the other Premier League teams in that window. So they're absolutely tremendous. I think with the two of them together are going to be sensational, and I can't wait to see what they do in the next few years.
100%. I think I'm going to have to actually disagree with Jack a little bit here, because I can't say all of these habits have been broken yet. I mean, we still signed Pape Sarr, loaned him back out. Brian Hill arrives, he's loaned back out. They don't fit the team.
Yeah, that was under Nuno.
We're still doing these still a few speculative little pumps coming in. And for me, Jed Spence is the same deal. It's a bit of a gamble with him. It's not like he's proven Premiership material. He could turn out to be brilliant. He could be a complete dud. There are worrying signs that there's still a little bit of a Levy attitude on some of these players.
Probably. I think we said this. I think even Daigle said this once, Kuva, where, you know, Paratici is almost like he's going to almost be like the Levy interpreter, you know, for things where I think even Daigle said this. He said there are going to be 4 signings that are Paratici's, and they said there's still going to be 2 signings that are Levy.
To keep the boss happy,
And so that sort of explains, I think that sort of explains the Hill Messi signing, that explains the, you know, the Jed Spence signing, that explains those other signings that Kuva was talking about, where those are probably like, the ones that Levy gets to throw in there, just to, keep things happy. And to be fair, though, as much as we want to buy players for the here and now, you have to run things, kind of a bit like Chelsea do, because we saw that Chelsea, they very much did benefit from having players like De Bruyne and Salah being sent out on loan, while, they were developing. So be nice if maybe Spurs did a version of that without getting in trouble and, getting a transfer ban. I would definitely take that. But I agree with Kuba's point that, there's still a bit of the jury is out. The same time, though, I feel like you might be ignoring at least 3 to 4 transfers that probably have been the best transfers of the last decade.
Yeah.
So that's the 100%. Other thing you have to look, especially now with the Basuma one. I mean, that's easily one of the best transfers on top of that. So Romero, Kulu, Bentancur, Basuma now, 4 of the best transfers of the last 8-9 years.
100%.
And I think the biggest one with Paratici, of course, will be Conte's here now.
Yeah, if we can get him locked down. Imagine that. Imagine if we can get through the summer, if we can go and get Ericsson done, if we can go and, by hook or by crook, get someone, if it's Jed Spence, whatever, but if it's someone better, if we can get a Dumfries or a Hakimi, if we can get a Bastoni, someone that's going to be around for 4 or 5 years and just be the stable, in the team. Amazing. And then after all of that, if Harry Kane signs another deal and Conte goes, okay, well done, Daniel Levy, you've got the fuck out the way, and you have backed the way we want it done, I'll stay for 2 more years, 3 more years, and so on. Imagine that. Then there's no doubt, there's no question. He is a Don of all Dons. The Capo Il Capo is what they call it, right?
Time will tell. Time will tell.
Let's hope we're all agreeing on that come that point.
100%. Yeah. There'll still be a couple of people that'll be, no. Remember Brian Hill?
I don't know, that room that Levy was locked in, honestly, sounds quite cozy. Hopefully Paratici left him, a pillow and stuff, because, it sounds like he's going to have to get involved at all. So, 100%. Like the sound of that.
All right, listen, last super chat before we move on to the actual show, the actual point of the show. The Bottom Duna, big up, my friend. Love you, man. Thank you so much for the support, buddy. He says, suppose we don't get any of the left-sided centre-backs. Do you think Conte may get a left-back? For example, Renan Lodi, and play him as a left-sided centre-back. He did that with Kolarov and Azpilicueta as a right centre-back before. Thoughts? I mean, I don't know who Renan Lodi is, if I'm entirely honest.
Yeah, he plays for over Atletico. He's a Brazilian, plays for Atletico. It's actually an interesting shout. They actually have someone else that they brought in. I forget his name, but they brought in someone this January window at Atletico who literally is, I think they intentionally got as a left back, who actually they did the wrong scouting report on him or something, and he's actually a left-sided center back. And so it was with whichever guy was playing next to Lodi against Man City. I think maybe someone might be able to remember, but there's another Brazilian next to him that I actually kind of liked as a left-sided center back. But you could see this working out. Kolarov was probably one of my favorite players actually back in the day, because he was like the definition of one of the best, like technically gifted sort of kind of like defenders. Like that guy could ping a pass 70 yards to like, I think one stage, like he hit one of the hardest shots of all time or something like that. Like he hit like a long shot that was like, I don't know, like 100 miles an hour or something like ridiculous. I've always loved Kolarov. So it's worked before. Like you could make a transformation of a left back to a left-sided center back. It easily could work. I don't see anything against it, but maybe a good outside shout. Okay. All right. Anybody? I mean, is that good enough? The Bottom Duta. We can move on. We can move on. But really appreciate the love and the support, my friend. All right, guys, we're 1 hour and 10 minutes in. Let's get down to business, ladies and gentlemen. We came here to discuss strikers options. And we're going to do that right now. Let me move this over here. 1 second. And bring this bad boy up.
Oh, yeah.
I need that. I need this. All right, guys, what we've decided to do, what we decided to look at today is just to get us going. We have got a page 2. FB Refs does not allow you to do more than 6 players at a time. So I have got in backup Domenico Berardi, Memphis Depay, Gianluca Scamacca, Yannick Carrasco, and Chukwuemeka Madueke. If we need to go there, if we do need to go there, but we're not going to start there. We're going to start, as the show suggested, by looking at the players that are within the Premier League that are available, right? Hang on, let me get the comment out of the way just for a second, Terry. and I'll bring my. Hang on a second. What am I doing here? What am I doing? Let me get this down for 1 second. I'm going to bring myself down here. I'm going to bring Jack up, and then you guys can be visible. All right, guys. So the purpose of the show is to look at. We're going to because of the limitations with the FB refs. I've taken out Stephen Bergwijn because I guess we can all assume that he's going to be moved on. So we're going to be on a toggle per 90 stats. So these are the stats for the for 90 for per 90, regardless of the matches played. But as it goes this season, and this is just on a one season because I didn't want to bring in Emmanuel Dennis has only been in at the Premier League for one season, so. It would have been a little bit unfair to bring in his stats from previous seasons when he was playing in a completely different league that wasn't anywhere near as competitive. But Richarlison's been here long enough. Rafinha's been here long enough. So has Gabriel Jesus. So has Teemu Pukki. And just to give you a bit of, I want everybody in the comments to join in with this, right? I want you to join in. I want you to talk us through what your thoughts are as we go through it. But I do want you to have, because some of the stats are going to make Gabriel Jesus look supremely good. Or make someone else look a little bit worse. But you have to factor in the cost and the context of the cost. If Gabriel Jesus is valued at 45 million, just for what it's worth, Richarlison is currently valued at the same price according to Transfer Market. But we know that Everton are putting, according to this at least, a 50% inflation on the price. So we're gonna use that as a benchmark and say that if Gabriel Jesus is valued at the same kind of value as Richarlison, then it's going to be 60 million to get to get Jesus. It's going to cost something like 60 million to get someone like Richarlison. And this is obviously there's room for error here, but just work with me. Excuse me, Teemu Pukki. I know he's 32 years old, but he's only valued at 3.5 million. So we'll be generous here and say that you could go and get Teemu Pukki for maybe 10 million. Because he's going to leave Norwich, no doubt about it, or I'd very much imagine he would. Emmanuel Dennis, his price has literally been updated today, June the 15th. I was looking when I did my first analysis on him the other day. It was back on a 7.2 valuation. But if he's valued at 12 million, we'll add 50%, and say that we could probably try and get Dennis away from Watford for less than 20 million. Rafinha is valued at 40, so I don't know if there's any truth to the idea that he has a relegation release, a release clause of 40 million. But let's presume that he's going to cost something around the same amount of money as Gabriel Jesus and Richarlison. And Lucas Moura is valued at current market value of 18 million. So maybe we could get, add an extra 50% to that. Maybe we could get, I don't think we could in reality, but maybe you could get 25 million for him, right? So we'll start with these positions. We'll start with these players here. We'll go back to the player comparison. Is everyone okay with that, guys, so far as a metric? Are you guys okay with that? To factor in so if we're going to compare Dennis or Pukki with Jesus, Rafinha or Richarlison, then you have to remember that we have got a lot of money to spend, but if we were to go and spend 60 million on a Jesus, it means we don't have the money then or we don't have as much money to go and spend on a Bastoni. If you wanted to go for Pukki or Dennis, then it means you have more money available to go and play for a Dumfries or for a Hakimi or whoever you want. So,
can I just start off crazy, kind of opinion here, Sean? And I know you're probably going to like it.
100%.
Emmanuel Dennis for me. I know I'm probably being a bit sensationalist here by reading a lot into his one season. This guy I think is the best of the ones that we're looking in front of us. Emmanuel Dennis. I think he has the most non-penalty goals as well. I don't think he even had one penalty this season. So he scored for a Watford team that had, let's say this again, I think they had 3 different managers in the course of a season, 3 different styles of play in the course of a season. Pretty garbage team, to work with as well. And this guy, I think, what did he get, Sean? 10 goals and 4 assists, or 10 goals and 6 assists or something.
Emmanuel Dennis, he got 10 goals and 6 assists
for
this season.
A Watford team that was right? The second bottom of the Premier League team with Cisco Munoz, or whatever his name was, with Roy Hodgson, Claudio Ranieri. I don't know, this guy had a tumultuous, sort of campaign at Watford, and somehow he made it look like he never had any problems at all, and For me, that's like pretty impressive. And I would say also, I know this doesn't really mean anything for strikers, but I am kind of a person that does like a good ticket seller. I'm pretty sure Emmanuel Dennis has like the most nutmegs or something in Europe, like as well. So that would be fun. That would be fun.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, for me, just to get us before we get going, I'll tell you now, Emmanuel Dennis is my favorite pick just because of the amount of money it would cost versus what you could get. I'm seeing a lot of people in the comments already saying, no to Pookie. No to Pookie. Said it before. No to Pookie. No Pookie, please. Listen, I've included him because...
Do you have a soft spot for Pookie, Sean?
I've got a little bit of a soft spot, but I think he scores goals, right? He does well in a Norwich team. He's a good player. And listen, I don't think as much as I understand the desire to get someone that can come in and do it. I think Pookie can do a job when Harry Kane needs a break or if Harry Kane gets injured. Like, I'm not going to be terrified with Pookie starting. I know he's nowhere near as good as Harry Kane or any of the other guys, but when it's only going to cost you 10 million, it allows you to then go and get... I think
you're being generous with that. I think it'd be like 4 or 5 million. I'm not even kidding. Because 2023 was the contract that he got. It said it expired too. So... Okay,
yeah, perfect, right? So it allows you to go and then
nothing.
To go and buy a Hakimi or to go and buy Bremer, and it allows you to do business. It maybe go and get Milenkovic-Savic. So that's the reason why I pulled him in, is just to compare. His stats are not as good as these guys. We're going to go through them right now. Before we get into the stats, I'll let you go, Kuba. What are your initial thoughts? Are you okay with us evaluating these 5 against Lucas Moura, or would you rather us? Is there somebody else in the Premier League that you would rather see on this list?
I wouldn't have put Pookie on it, I must admit. As soon as I saw the name there, I just thought, is that just your little pet name for,
I can get rid of
give him a little cuddle and whisper Pookie.
A Pookie pony. The SpursTalkShow Pookies.
Pookie membership. Grab the Pookie membership.
Yeah, I agree with the sort of Jesus Dennis comparison with Lucas Moura, maybe.
Would you go Ivan Toney over Pookie?
It's a good shout. He's similar to Harry Kane too,
and he plays with Christian Eriksen. So I mean, if the two of them both came in, they know each other.
Okay, because everybody is so determined.
Yeah, I love your soft spot.
There's kind of different players here, isn't there? There's some different styles of players. I wouldn't put Richarlison as the same as a Jesus type player.
But we're looking for somebody that ideally that can be back up to Harry Kane, but in an ideal world can play in both positions, right? Yeah. And like if you look at Emmanuel Dennis, he plays on the right, he plays in the centre, and he plays on the left, right? If you look at
he's perfect.
Richarlison, he can play in all three. If you look at Rafinha, I know he's not necessarily an out-and-out striker, but
you could get away with moving Kulu there or something. Like you could get away with moving Sonny, maybe to striker if you were to go for Rafinha potentially.
Yeah,
but
and we're comparing him with Lucas Moura, who also plays across the three, and Gabriel Jesus, who plays across the three, right? So according to Transfer Market, at least, we're trying to compare players that are at least capable of doing more than one job. I think if that's fair to say. So we're gonna.
Did you think that Pookie was one of those as well? Do you think Pookie plays across the front line?
No, I think he's more just an out and out, isn't he? He's more of a number 9. But I would. We're taking him out on the weight of public opinion.
I enjoyed your soft spot for Pookie. It's like I have a soft spot. I have a soft spot for Chris Wood. So
okay, fair enough. Yeah. But he's gone. Chris Wood's not involved, and Pookie's been removed. So by hook or by crook, is everyone happy in the comments with this one? We're gonna go now and look at Toggle by 90. Toggle by 90.
What do we feel like is what do we feel like is an important stat to look at maybe for these guys? Because sometimes you could maybe look at, how many chances do they waste? Because maybe you want someone that's like really clinical, whereas again, you actually look at Emmanuel Dennis, he's pretty clinical when he gets the opportunities. I don't know, like what. Because now that we all have strikers that sort of play across the front line, what do you really want them to do is like kind of the question when they come off the bench.
I guess we obviously need to look at goal, take away the penalty kicks, right? We're looking at expected goals, expected assists, non-penalty goals and assists. We're going to go through it all one by one. Obviously, we're going to figure out which ones are less relevant or not. But obviously, the standout figure, my man Emmanuel Dennis, has got ever so slightly more of a success rate when you take away penalties than any of the other 5.
Yep.
And if we go across to goals,
he's the
plus
best hands
assists,
down in that. He's going to destroy them in that metric because again, like 10 non-penalty goals is like, I think Richarlison had probably the second most with 7.
yeah.
Or maybe Rafinha did. I don't know. Does Rafinha take penalties? I don't think he does.
No, Rafinha goals minus penalty kicks. He's played 35 games and he scores one in every 0.22. So that would work out to be about seven goals, I'd imagine. 7 or 8 goals. So let's have a look. Let me see. Rafinha. He got 11 goals, but I'm not sure. I
think one of them might have been a penalty.
Might have been a penalty
one of
or
them was a
something.
penalty. Yeah. But it is interesting because if you ask me, I don't know. It's just one of those scenarios, Sean, where like for me, I just think Dennis wins in almost every metric. And so maybe the point is, at least for me, is like, at least when I'm going to be answering some of these, I'm going to be talking about my second favorite choice next to Dennis, because Dennis is a clear favorite for me. That's what I guess I'm going to try to figure out. Maybe it is someone like a Gabby Jesus, but I'm not sure. It's tough.
Well, Jesus has got the best assist ratio per 90, quite significantly as well, by an extra.
Might be inflated by playing for Man City, though. That might be inflated by playing for a team like Man City, who scored the most goals.
That's true. And if we go for goals and assists minus penalties, Jesus does win. But Emmanuel Dennis, again, if you're paying 65 million for Jesus and 20 for Dennis, then the interesting one is Rafinha is way down, right at the very bottom, when it comes to goals plus assists minus penalties. I don't know if they take free kicks. So free kicks is not evolved in this stat. So, and then if we look at expected goals, Ivan Toney suddenly pops back up. He's involved in the mix. Kuba, what are your thoughts on here so far?
Right, this is actually a pretty difficult conversation because what exactly are we looking for here? If it's somebody that can literally cover every role we got on that front line, then you've got to look at Harry Kane's ability. And some of these players are not target men. And you're not going to get the same sort of player. Only even Toney and Richarlison, in my opinion, can offer that kind of strength role as a target man in the box. And the others are more sort of skillful, tricky players. I like Jesus. I think he's got a bag of tricks. He can add to an attacking threat on the team all day long. Same with Dennis. Yeah, Dennis looked good as well. Perhaps went off the boil a little bit after an electrifying start, perhaps, arguably. I think for me, if you're looking to have somebody that can cover Harry Kane's role, for me, it's got to be Richarlison out of those.
Yeah,
I think possibly
the target man point is a good point. The target man point is good.
Yeah, because Richarlison's the only one that can play any of those roles. I'd say Ivan Toney's perhaps a little bit limited with playing on a wider role, although he can do it. He's more suited to being that target man in the centre, isn't he? So for me, it's Richarlison's the one that stands out because of that. The rest of them are more sort of another Lucas Moura type, but a bit better, obviously, because they've got more threat. There's more goal threat about them. They offer more to the team.
Yeah, good points, mate. Good points. Adam, I was talking to was it Bob Spur? I think it was Bob Spur the other day, who made a really interesting point about Richarlison, in that he's quite tricky and he draws a lot of fouls. And that's not going to be a stat that is going to be reflected with him, right, on his things. If he draws fouls, that might be a stat. But if those fouls turn into free kicks, and then those free kicks, if you had an Eriksen or if you had somebody who could then make use of those free kicks, then are you is Richarlison with his kind of shithousery, is that an asset that we should be looked at, that maybe he can draw enough free kicks, draw enough whatever in dangerous areas, that then obviously he's not going to necessarily benefit from the assist or the goals from that if it draws to a free kick that gets crossed in by Eriksen and then headed in by Harry Kane. Those stats wouldn't necessarily be reflected in these things. Richarlison by far is the more shithousery of all of the 5 or 6 players we're looking at, right? So would you think, Adam, that is something that we should be thinking about? And what do you think about Richarlison generally? Like 65 million, is it Like, it's 10 million quid for every goal that he scored.
When I heard that Richarlison was like Richarlison playing for Everton, for me was infuriating. I think I hated Richarlison, and I don't use the word hate very often. I think I hated Richarlison more than any other player in the Premier League, just because of how frustrating he is. He spends so much time diving, bitching, moaning, causing problems for other teams. Now, as soon as I heard that he may be coming to Spurs, I was like, oh wait. If that's all on our team, it changes things significantly. So the thing you have with Richarlison, right? You're getting an upgrade. You're getting a backup to Kane. You're getting a backup to Son if we want to play him there because he can play either position. You're also getting basically an upgrade on Lucas Moura because Lucas Moura is the player in our team that is constantly running at the defense and buying fouls constantly because he's so fast. They can't tackle him on time. They always get him instead of the ball. He goes down. We get a free kick. The difference between Moura and Richarlison, though, is when Moura starts his runs, he's starting them much deeper. And he normally draws a foul when we're still about 30 yards out from the goal. Richarlison is getting these much, much, much closer to the goal. So you're talking about getting free kicks from just outside the box, and you're talking about penalties.
Yeah.
Penalties, not just drawing a foul and getting us free kicks. You're talking about penalties as well. So, which not only Kane is going to bang away, but Richarlison can bang away. So he's an upgrade on Moura, and he's also perfectly capable of filling in any of those three roles at the front. I think that the only difference for me and the excitement value between Richarlison and Dennis is. I think you're getting more out of Richarlison, but you're paying more for Richarlison. Are you happy?
Three or four times more, you know?
Sure. But I think you are getting more. You're getting more out of him. You get what you just mentioned there. I do think that there's so much more that added trickery and that being that joker, the wild card. I think that does add so much to what you're getting with him. Now, does that mean that we're detracting a lot from other opportunities for wingers and for another centre back? That does worry me. I think I'd probably rather if I had to if the restrictions meant that I want another two wingers. I really do because in a Conte system they're so bloody important.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So if you get Richarlison. You're not getting two wingers and a centre back.
This is the thing. You know what? It's interesting. The other day when I did a show on this, I was talking about Richarlison for 65 million. No, sorry, it was on one of my Tottenham walks. I had 50 comments, and every one of them was like, "No, thank you. Don't want him. No way. Not at least for that price. Not even half the price." This evening, you guys are making decent claims, and you're kind of twisting my arm a little bit on it, and I actually it makes a little bit more sense. Mark H is saying he's too much, but he's a good player. But Richarlison is definitely as a backup. He makes a good point about the others being backup for Kulu. But there's a few other people in here that are actually... someone said... Where is he? Someone said Richarlison gets into the Brazil team ahead of Jesus. That tells you something. Yeah. Here we go.
Yep.
Gadgets BZ.
It's true.
Terry White saying... 60 million quid price tag seems a bit steep, but he's a terrific player. I don't know. It seems like there's a little bit more flexibility in the opinions here today from people.
I might just,
It's Everton, though, isn't it? We can send them any of our cast-offs to bring the value.
This is the thing. Totally. 100%. If we send them Moura and Winks, then we're not paying 60 million for them.
No. The other thing that you could the other thing that must be said maybe about Jesus is you look at his XG right there that you're pointing out there, Sean. The reason his XG is so much higher again is because he plays for Man City. Yeah. So he's obviously going to have a lot of opportunities to score more than the other players are. That's really what XG is just the opportunity to score. When you then think about that with Jesus, even when he comes into his Spurs team, is he going to have as many chances as he does with City? Maybe not, and you then think about someone like a Jesus, they need to be incredibly clinical, or at least they really do need to impress you because he's basically going to be going into, no offense to pretty much any other team in the world, but he's going to go into a worse team. He's going to go into a worse team, and he's going to go into
Richarlison's XG.
Is
Richarlison
this
goes
not a
up.
good point though? Right. Look, if you look at Dennis, his non-penalty expected goals and expected assists is 0.37, but what he actually delivers is
much higher. If anybody that
much
outperforms XG is a very clinical player, because that means the opportunities that they are given, they take them, and it means that they might not get a lot of opportunities, but when they have them, they take them.
Richarlison outperforms his XG as well.
Yeah, he does.
Where,
Yeah, that's
with
interesting.
Jesus, he might too, but Jesus out of all those guys, I do not think of as like a clinical finisher. Like, I don't think Jesus is a clinical finisher.
No, I think you're totally right about the Man City thing as well. Like, he comes to Spurs, he'll get less chances. Richarlison comes to Spurs, he gets more chances. His XG goes up and his performance will go up as well.
Yeah. And it's the same with the rest of these players, actually, except Jesus. The rest of these players that come into this team, they get more XG, they have more chances, they play in a better team with better teammates. Whereas Jesus, it's the complete opposite. He's actually going into perhaps a worse team with worse players, and also playing a very different system. Like, he's not playing Guardiola style, which basically affords you, a very high line. You get to have the ball for the majority of the game. All these sort of things he would have to get used to not having anymore.
Okay.
I think also on this list, if we go back to the fact that we're looking at somebody that can possibly cover Harry Kane's role, you could pick up the likes of Rafinha or Richarlison, Dennis, Jesus, Dennis. But I'm looking at somewhere like Manchester United. What's the likelihood on them spending big on a striker this summer?
Well, they were supposed to start. Arsenal were putting £100 million bid allegedly for Nkunku from Leipzig, and Manchester United were gonna match it, but then went no, it's too expensive. So they're looking for a striker as well.
If that's the case, then just for a season, let's see if we can pick up Cavani, because he ticks that box massively. He can do Harry Kane's role very well.
He's not going to be able to play enough games, and he's not a long-term.
Also, better hair than Harry Kane too. David would not like that. David would not like that.
Even if it's just for one season, it's just to give us that cover, so we can take our time finding somebody to fit that role.
Just to piss off David, I love that show.
That.
All right, let's move on to the shooting stats just for a second. Emmanuel Dennis has got a shots on target percentage that far exceeds everybody else's. Basically, essentially, every two cracks at the goal he has, one of them is testing the keeper.
And he doesn't take as many shots as Jesus when you look at it too. Shots per
90. Jesus has 3. Dennis
takes the second fewest as well. He takes the second fewest. That's crazy.
Probably because he has like so many fewer chances than, again, to your point, right, about Man City versus Watford. How many shots are Watford going to create, and how many of them is he going to be in the end of? But when he does, he makes sure he hits the target. But yeah, Gabriel Jesus takes 3 shots, and he only has got a 1 in 3. So he's quite wild with his shooting. Is old Gabriel Jesus. I don't know if any of these are particularly necessary. Goals per shot.
That one is like, there's one in there that I don't think it matters, but there is one in there that's like conversion, sort of like rule where I forget where it is, but it doesn't matter. Like Sonny is like one of the best in Europe for this stat, for like clinical, like it's some sort of stat for like proving clinicalness.
Surely going to be.
I think it's goals per shot. I think it's G/SH goals per shot, and I think. Emmanuel Dennis, there you go. Dennis is the highest, but Jesus a bit higher there, perhaps because maybe there's something that we're missing.
Again, though, does that maybe look at them too much as being a striker, just somebody to put the ball in the net? It detracts from the fact there's a lot more to their game.
You're right.
But you could also argue, and we obviously know Lucas Moura better than the other guys, right? But Lucas Moura, he does get in positions to have a shot, but he doesn't have the confidence ever to take the shot. Like this season, last season, it doesn't matter. He what is that? So goals for every shot. So every 20 shots he takes, one of them will be a goal. And he doesn't take very many shots anyway, right? His shots on target is super low. I know he's not necessarily that kind of player. I know he's playing as more of a creative one to try and set everyone free. So obviously we're trying to figure out the context here. So bear with us. It's not a perfect science, but I don't know. For me, like the two options that are clear to me is that Gabriel Jesus is usually at the top of the pile. I haven't seen Ivan Toney do too much, but I've been unimpressed with Rafinha on these stats so far, and I'm massively impressed with Emmanuel Dennis. Anyone got anything to say about the shooting stats?
Do we want him to be 2-footed? Is that important maybe to us, or do we even care? Sometimes I go back and forth with that. Sometimes I don't care if a person's 2-footed because there's so many players these days that aren't 2-footed that do well. But I don't know, like, is Richarlison the most 2-footed? Do you feel like Kuva or Adam? Is he the most 2-footed?
Statistically, he is. Statistically, he is of them.
Maybe
I think
Richarlison.
it's one of the things I'll never understand, why players don't train more with their weaker foot.
Especially if you're a
crazy
striker.
not to. Yeah. Well, any position.
Yeah.
Just quickly, guys, I've got to call out a super sticker from Tottenham, from Dermatron. I am Dermatron. Don't know if you can see me doing the arms, Dermatron. But appreciate you so much, my friend. I've looked it up. It is just like a big thumbs up kind of emoji. Mate, really appreciate the support, my friend. Can't wait. By the way, guys, if you didn't know, Tottenham Gold is relaunching on Saturday. I think it's 8 p.m. And I think the first show is going to be Mark, Scrumpy Cousins, and Izan. And so that's happening on Saturday. Make sure you're there over there and subscribe to that. I'll put the links up obviously towards the end of the show. But thank you so much, Dermatron. I appreciate you, my friend, for the support, buddy. Dermatron. All right, ladies and gentlemen, where did we get to? Where did we get to in the comments? Let's move down to passing attributes. How much emphasis are we going to place on passing, Kuba?
Well, it's obviously integral part of the game as well. It's more to do with when you're in those attacking areas, chances created, I'd say.
Hold up play would be important.
Yeah, again,
stats, there aren't a lot of stats.
We're looking at
like
which role are we looking at again? It's
it's
not straightforward here.
I think the goal and shot creation is more important than the passing, to be fair.
Yeah, you're probably right. Just quickly though, maybe we could just quickly see who attempts the most passes, because then that could tell you which player actually has the most of the ball and which player has the least of the ball. Yeah, so Rafinha has the most of the ball.
Especially if you got the passes into the box.
Yeah. So Rafinha gets the most of the ball. That kind of explains it. I mean, he is their main player. And then you look at it, Richarlison has the fewest touches of the ball. And so that means
half as many.
So that means he gets fewer chances to do anything with the ball, when you kind of think about it. So he has, less of a chance to do something crazy with it. So it does make you think that maybe Richarlison, perhaps with what he is able to do, with how little he receives the ball, with how little he receives it, he is able to do perhaps a bit with it, either goal scoring or whatever. He doesn't touch.
You've also got the context of a lot of the season. Richarlison was basically the only player Everton had up front, so he was he had to be there to receive the ball, so he wasn't going to be making those passes.
And that's not a fun role, I think, for anybody. No. Nobody likes that role, and that means also like your pass percentages are going to be really low. You're even like the fact that he only completes 12 passes a game for 90 minutes. That's almost depressing. Richarlison. That's almost depressing. Like that shows how little he has the ball. It says in total right there.
Here. Yeah. So he's got a 61. Yeah, he only gets the ball 20 times, and he's got the 61% passing accuracy. I know it might be more difficult to pass if you're passing around the box than it is if you're passing around the back. So
definitely.
When we look at centre backs that have got 88%, it's not a fair comparison.
And if he's being used as a hold up guy, like Kuva was saying, if he's just the one guy you just launch the ball up to, and then everybody,
if he's the target man,
you're not.
He's not going to pass much,
and you're not going to have a good passing percentage either, because you're making the toughest passes. In the game.
Yeah.
I mean, last season Everton couldn't pass a breathalyzer test. So, I mean, he was just sat there twiddling his thumbs. It must be so frustrating as a striker in a poor team.
12 passes over 90 minutes. That is sad.
Progressive and the progressive passes is progressive distance per 90 is 41.
45, 40 yards.
Yeah, versus Rafinha. Clearly, Rafinha looks more like a kind of.
He just gets a lot of the ball.
I'm guessing this is making the argument, right? Like Rafinha could almost, if we miss out on Eriksen, you could almost have Rafinha come back and play a little bit more. Maybe that's a really poor point. I'm not even going to continue saying it. I'm going to move on. Let's have a look at the short passes, completion ratios again. Oh, Ivan Toney, dear. But But yeah,
he's a
Jesus
hold-up
again.
man too, though. He's a hold-up man too. To be fair, I didn't tell you to him. He's a hold-up guy.
Yeah. It looks like in terms of the passing stuff, Rafinha is far more effective with his passing than anybody else, from what I can tell.
He's the number 10. He is the number 10 in that Leeds team when you think about it. So,
yeah.
And I bet he might have the most touches, perhaps, or at least some of the most touches for that Leeds team, probably per game, if you think about it too, because they obviously just want to get him the ball no matter what.
Yeah, and again, Rafinha again, 5.2 in terms of I love this stat. Completed passes that move the ball towards the opponent's goal at least 10 yards from its furthest point in the last 6 passes, or any completed pass into the penalty area. Excludes passes from the defending 40% of the pitch, which I'm guessing is irrelevant for these guys.
It's the Harry Winks stat. So he's
well, it's got to be move forward at least 10 yards. It's got to be moved forward. Harry Winks is, unless he's looking sideways.
I agree with Kuba and Adam, though. Maybe goal and shot creating actions might be.
Okay, yeah, let's move on then. Let's move on.
Especially with that progressive passes one. I mean, you look at the likes of David Silva, genius at playing like a 3 or 4 yard pass in the box. It's not going to show up on that stat, but it's way more important
too.
Yeah, exactly. It's the little touches of brilliance that can be very short range if it's just spotting it and it's all timing.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so shot creating actions per 90. We've got Gabriel Jesus at the top of the pops. Richarlison for 70 million quid, mate. You're not impressing me. Where's my man Dennis? Yeah, but actually Rafinha,
right in the middle, right where you want him.
Yeah, but Rafinha.
No, because you look at it, right? Dennis is, of those 3, except for Jesus, Dennis has probably played striker the most of Lucas Moura, Rafinha, and Jesus. He probably has played striker the most. Yeah. And so the fact that he's still above 3 shot creating actions a game for Watford again, as a striker. Again, I don't know about you, Sean, but anytime I look at Dennis, it's one of those like memes where you're just like, he's perfect. You know, every time I look at him.
I absolutely adore the guy. I don't have a soft spot for Pookie.
And it's my dad's name, so I have a bit of a bias there. It's also my dad's name, but
Dennis Kinnicky. Shout out to Dennis Kinnicky. What about this? Are we looking at successful dribbles? Are we looking at this one too much? I mean, I would have thought Rafinha would have been there, but he's not.
That one is like, I think that one's like dribbles that lead to a shot or something. So what you probably rather do is look at like possession, and then you could see, which I'm looking forward to this, Sean. When we get to possession, we have to see how many megs this guy gets per game. I think it was something like he had like, or at least we're just going to have to see the total amount of megs that he had this season. I think it was like 30 something. It was just absurd. But yeah,
fouls drawn that lead to a shot attempt.
Richarlison number 1.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Not that much more though than Ivan Toney, which is interesting. Almost a negligible difference.
Again, it's because they're doing the target man role, so they are going to expect a clumsy defender to smash into the back of them.
Yeah. And I wouldn't worry too much about the shot creating actions per 90 where Richarlison is concerned. I mean, I know he's at the bottom of it, but it's like you're talking about something that is leading to a shot rather than directly being involved in the shot. So he's
the shot taker.
He's the shot taker. Exactly. He's not the one that creating the action. He is the thing that the creating action is leading to. So I wouldn't worry about it. And then that whole, the dribbles that lead to it, or the fouls drawn that lead to a shot attempt. That's awesome, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. Just to call out King Hoddle's point here, the problem with stats is that once you apply context, they start to diminish in value. 100%, buddy, 100%. We're just going through it. We're not taking anything with it. We're not.
True and actually, true and not true. True and not true, because you could then say, like with Dennis, when you add the context that this guy plays for Watford, then you're like, wow, then his stats just get like soar even higher. Because so it's like it's true and also not.
And
true.
that he's cheap.
Where like context absolutely takes away from the stats. In fact, you would say with Gabby Jesus, like you have to add context when it comes to him. Whereas like with Dennis, when you add the context, it almost makes him look even more impressive when you add the context. At least in my opinion.
Same with Richarlison, I think, though. I mean, like Everton were almost relegated, and then Richarlison kept them up. So,
and no Calvert-Lewin the entire season. Like we haven't even mentioned that. No Calvert-Lewin.
They relied on.
We're going to move on to possession stats now, are we, boys?
Love this.
Is this what you want to look at? Possession, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Manuel Dennis, look how many that guy skins past a game. 2.79. This guy is an absolute menace.
Where am I going?
Go to dribbles. You can see the PL, the hashtag PL, or the number PL.
Okay.
Number of players dribble past per 90.
Number of dribble players dribble past per 90.
Great stat to use.
Oh, that's insane.
You'll love that one. And then look at the megs next to him. He almost averages a meg per game. Get in. That's awesome.
That's fantastic.
Absolutely awesome. I don't know. I have a soft spot for Alan St. Maximin, and I have a soft spot for Dennis. I do love ticket sellers. People that get you out of your seat for that kind of stuff. And Sean, do you just mind quickly pressing on the toggle per 90, just so I see how many he actually had at the end of the season?
Where's that? Sorry. Oh,
right. Yeah. Let's just see. He had 21 megs.
21 megs. Awesome. He's embarrassed. Awesome. He embarrasses someone nearly every game.
And for somebody that was a striker, and for a striker, he had 21 megs.
Interesting that the three that interest me the most on that list from the sort of attacking wide player, they're all the highest on there.
Yeah. Lucas Moura's never megged anybody. You don't like.
Doesn't need to.
Yeah, he just runs around them, doesn't he? Instead, I guess. Yeah. Wow. 0.75 megs a game. 3/4 of the time, he's megging someone.
I know, it's awesome. I think it's actually the most in Europe, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's the most in Europe of anybody. It's awesome.
Progressive distance.
If I could lead in any stat, that would be the stat I'd want to lead in. If you garbage and everything, megs. I would love to average a meg a game.
Yeah, that'd be they should have a trophy for that. The golden meg. It'd be fantastic. Progressive distance. It's no surprise that Lucas Moura, he's at the top of the list for this. He's fantastic at running with the ball at his feet around players. But again, it's not that much, not that many more yards per game versus Rafinha or Emmanuel Dennis. Right at the bottom, obviously, Ivan Toney, but not the same sort of player, so it's not a fair comparison. Although I haven't seen Ivan Toney at the top of the list for anything. Can anyone remember seeing him at the top of the list? And he would cost a fair bit of money, wouldn't he, Ivan Toney? I know he's an English guy, so you're going to get the English tax or whatever. But for me, I'm uninspired by Ivan Toney's stats.
I think he's sort of fitting in the sort of top two for a few of the stats. But again,
in shooting, he was definitely in the top. He's mostly in the top two for other things.
And fouls drawn against as well. He was just behind Richarlison. You're going to see him really highlighted in his aerial ability though, because he's just colossal.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, again, looking at this, carries that enter the final third of the pitch whilst he's running with the ball. Emmanuel Dennis, he's not as good as Lucas Moura, but he's better than Rafinha for this. And I thought Rafinha was someone that was...
Yeah, you would think he'd do really well in that. You would think he would dominate that sort of stat. That's true.
You don't think that you never think of Emmanuel Dennis as someone that's, it doesn't... You don't think of him in that sort of light, but actually the stats suggest he is very good with the ball at his feet. Very, very good. Again, number 2, just behind Gabriel Jesus with carries into the 18-yard box.
This is Dele Alli's favorite stat.
Number of times a player failed when attempting to gain control of the ball. Okay,
Emerson's too, probably, to be fair. Emerson's favorite stat.
So Ivan Toney and Richarlison have got a worse first touch than Rafinha, Dennis, or Jesus. Am I reading that stat correctly?
I don't really know what to make of that stat because it's like I don't really know how they judge it, because sometimes I feel like you can have someone like Harry Winks who throws an absolute hospital pass, into your feet. You're going to miscontrol it and you're going to, need a second to get it under control, where I just don't know. Whereas someone like, I just don't even know what to make of that stat. I guess that's all I'm saying, because I feel like a lot of context is maybe needed when looking at that. Whereas though, when you do know someone like Dele Alli or Emerson, who we all know struggles at keeping control of the ball, if you saw that they had really high miscontrols, that would back you up probably.
This is not ideal though for Richarlison. The amount of time I know that some of these are going to be long balls played into him, but not all of them are. And he's only got every time that he gets the ball passed to him, he only controls it half the time. Far out.
Again, it's context. You look at some of those other players. They're picking up wide out under no pressure. Whereas Toney and Richarlison, they are in the thick of it.
Yeah, and also receiving a pass from Alex Iwobi is not easy. I think Kuba's right. Kuba's right. Much harder passes to receive, much harder passes to control just more difficult.
Alex Iwobi, by the way, scores very highly on shots aimed at other players.
Or people in the stands turn the other direction.
Sorry, I said aimed, but it was just a sort of guideline. That's what I meant.
And the last thing we're going to look at before we get rid of these stats and come back to a conversation is miscellaneous stats. What do we want? Headers. Let's have a look at the headers. Ivan Toney is he wins. He's got 4 points. But he also loses. And let's look at percentages. Lucas Moura, he's the shortest player. He jumps so high though. He's got some hops on him, isn't he?
So it's so much spring, man. It's unbelievable.
I bet he could probably dunk if somebody just like threw him an alley-oop. I bet he could actually dunk or something.
Yeah,
that is so ridiculous. Like he's one of the most athletic, tiny people I've ever seen. Honestly,
but look at this, Richarlison. He's not really a good target man if he loses 75% of his aerial balls, right?
Maybe, but I feel like he is good in the air. Maybe.
Yeah, I think he is as well. But the thing is, again, with Everton last season, with Calvert-Lewin out for so long, he was basically their only aerial threat. So they're going to get their best defenders on him straight away. It's going to wreck his stats because he's the only option for him. Lucas Moura, I think, possibly benefits for the fact that people aren't expecting him. Even after all this time watching him doing it, he comes out of nowhere with a header because he's just outrun his marker.
The one he did this season, which was that one where he did that human missile one, where was it the Crystal Palace or the West Ham one, where he just absolutely launched himself at it, and he I forget which player it was. It might have been a West Ham player, but he threw his whole body at it, and then he also took out the player as well on the header. It was just unbelievable for someone as small as him to be as powerful as Lucas is in the air. It's crazy. I would say he's a menace in the air.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Lucas is number 1 for number of loose balls recovered. So he's so bloody fast, man.
Yeah.
So bloody fast. And Richarlison is number 2.
Richarlison's number 2 as well. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts? Guys? How we set for this? We can go back and look at the other players, the foreign players if you want, but I don't want to look at the stats all night because it gets a little bit tiresome after a while, doesn't it? But to me, I'm not going to say to me. Let's come to you, Adam. What are your thoughts, mate? Who of those stats? Bearing in mind, obviously, there's context. Obviously, there's we said it 1,000 times. That obviously, it's not as clear, and you can't just look at the stats and make a complete story from it. But there is something you can take from it. And when you factor in the cost of the various players, where are you sat? Who would you rather go for?
I would still be incredibly excited to see Richarlison come in just because of what he brings to the team in terms of his pace, in terms of his shithousery, in terms of how many goals he's going to score for us compared to a team like Everton. I think he would revitalize. But I think even from what we've looked at today, I think it really would be a no-brainer to go for Dennis, wouldn't it? I mean, considering that, okay, so it's two things. If it was literally just a case of cash only deal, Dennis is the no-brainer because of what he's able to bring. He's such an incredible talent. The amount of goals that he would bring to the table are, there's no denying it. The stats showed. I think the stats showed that he is the best option.
Pound for pound, right?
Pound for pound.
Pound for pound. I think he makes the most sense in a Premiership proven. There's a lot of players you can go and if everyone wants to, if everyone's got time, we can go and look at the second page and it's going to be difficult to remember the stats of the other guys, but we can go back and look at people like Memphis Depay. We can go and look at Berardi. We can go look at those guys if everyone wants to. If you don't, I'm happy not to. But pound for pound, Premiership proven is a massively important asset.
It is.
For me,
hugely.
I think
with Richarlison though, the only thing about that is I still think you're getting an incredible player. I would be absolutely thrilled to see him come through the door. Any of the others wouldn't excite me. Jesus wouldn't excite me, honestly, even though he would likely do well, but he's way too expensive. Ivan Toney, Rafinha would excite me, but I don't think he's the player that we need right now. Dennis and Richarlison are the two. And I would be happy to see them both come in. And the thing about Richarlison is that we're almost certainly going to use players as leverage to bring him in. So even though his price tag is 60 million, whatever, we're going to be using at least Harry Winks to take some of the edge off that. And because Harry Winks is an English player and you have the English tax, they're going to be giving us more money for Winks than he's actually worth. So that will bring Richarlison's fee down a good bit. The fee down a good bit. So I'd be happy to see either the two of them come in. You've convinced me that Dennis is probably the most ideal, considering how much extra kitty that leaves us to go spend on other players. And as I stated at the beginning, I'm very, very disappointed at the moment with the fact that we haven't brought in sensational wingbacks. Perisic counts, sure, but he's 33. He's not going to be there for too long. And I think he's there to train up the younger kids. But I would like to have seen, strangely, sorry, I don't want to go on too much of a tangent, but I would love to have seen Kostic come in on the left, and even going back after Adama Traore on the right. I would have been excited about that because of what they would have brought to the table. But I still think we need two signings where the wingbacks are concerned, not including Jed Spence. So when you think about that and you're thinking about it from a monetary standpoint, Dennis makes more sense because you have that extra money to spend where we really, really need the money being spent at the moment. But again, if Richarlison comes in, I am going to be dancing around like we already won the Champions League.
So I agree with everything. I agree with everything
you just said,
apart from Richarlison.
That was half of what I said, Sean.
No, I agree. I agree with everything you just said, apart from spending money. But if you're going to go with somebody who's going to cost you 60 million, 65
but it
million,
won't.
Well, I understand that because you're going to get rid of Harry Winks or whatever. But you can spend that money elsewhere, right? You could sell Harry Winks to a Nottingham Forest or to a Fulham, right, and still get your 20 million. You could sell your Lucas Moura or your Bergwijn somewhere, whatever it is. I understand the argument that, if you're going to go after Gabriel Jesus, there's nobody that Manchester City want from Tottenham apart from money, right? Yeah. I get that. But you can still sell that other player to somewhere else to raise the money to then pay for Gabriel Jesus. So, it's still... I don't know, Richarlison, for me, I like... Would
you actually not be happy to see Richarlison come in, though? I don't know. If you think about it from the perspective of the Richarlison is not going to cost us as much as they're actually valuing him at because we will leverage it with players. If Richarlison comes in and then we also buy other players that you like, let's just say, for example, we bring in Gvardiol and we bring in Dumfries.
Okay, now I've got a semi. Yeah, keep going.
Okay,
keep going.
we've got if by the end of the transfer window we've got Gvardiol, Dumfries. We brought somebody else in as an understudy to Perisic on the left, and Richarlison. Is that a 10 out of 10 window for you? It fucking is for me.
It's pretty good.
And Eriksen or something like that.
And Eriksen's coming out at a free anyway, baby.
But if Eriksen goes to Manchester United, yes, that's a 10 out of 10 window for me, right? But if Eriksen decides to go to Manchester United after we've paid up 60 million for Richarlison, then we're fucked, because then we that 60 million quid that we don't have, or let's say we could have got Emmanuel Dennis for 20, that's 40 million that we no longer have to go and pay up for a creative midfielder, because Eriksen would have been free, but now we have to go and find someone somewhere.
I would agree with you on that point. I would agree. So basically, what you're saying is, if we taking it that Christian Eriksen is a given. If he comes in, Richarlison joining him would be tremendous. But if Eriksen ends up fucking off to Manchester United, then absolutely it would make much more sense for us to get Paqueta and Dennis and spend all the money on.
But I would probably, for me personally, I would still rather go and get Emmanuel Dennis and Richarlison for 20 million. And then even if you can get Eriksen and Dennis, I would then still go and spend the other money on getting a Hakimi or a Dumfries, right? Because I don't necessarily think there's enough money to get all of it. And this is the argument I was having with Saba. This is the argument I was having with Saba the other night, where I had to apologize for misrepresenting what he said. Like he was making the case. His position is, if Tottenham fans are okay with Emerson or Doherty or Sessegnon or Dyer or Davies or Højbjerg, those sorts of players, if you're okay with that, then you're the problem. And I didn't like it. I don't like people who say that the fans are the problem. It's my position. He's okay. I'm happy for him to have his position. I don't like it. I then misrepresented him by saying you want £100 million players in every position. Of course, everyone would love the world's best player in every position. It's not possible all the time in one window. That's when it all got out of hand. I had to apologize because that wasn't what he was saying. But I do still think the point stands that you can't have everything all at once.
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day,
you've only got a budget, right?
There is a budget. We have to understand there is a budget. That's totally true. But the budget is not 150 million when you really think about it. We've got 150 million cash. And then you've still got to sell players like Winks, Lo Celso, Nombelli, and then possibly other guys going out too. We've got way over 200 million.
But we haven't sold them.
Yeah, sure. It's potential, say.
Yeah, but who's going to buy? Who's going to buy Ndombele? Who's going to buy? I mean, Lo Celso might go to Villarreal, but sorry, Kuba. Sorry, mate.
Sorry, I was going to say there's a flip side to that as well, because that 150 million, it wasn't labelled as there's the transfer fund. It wasn't that at all. It was for improving the squad.
Just an injection. See,
improving the ladies' side, improving the facilities. We don't know what percentage of that is going to go on transfers. So it could even be a lot lower than what we're thinking, the transfer budget.
I don't think so. I really don't. There's no the club.
I certainly hope not. But
to be fair, the club doesn't make money off the ladies' team, so it's not going to invest. They'll invest hardly any money into the ladies' team. The money that they make off the men's team. So that the 99% of that money minimum is going on the men's team. It's going on Conte's team. And I think that it's the 150 plus whatever we get for the other players, and the fact that we know there are teams interested in Lo Celso and Nombelli. If we can use them as leverage to get players from the teams that want to stay, you know what I mean. So from Lyon and from Villarreal, that's another option as well to bring in really solid players and offload, some of the junk.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hell with it. I mean,
how do you see it, mate? How would you want to, even if it is 200 million, right? Even whatever it is, it's a lot of fucking. Richarlison would be a club record signing. How does that sit with you?
That doesn't sit well with me. That does not sit well with me. To the 150 million thing, at least what I've understood it as is Spurs have an extra 150 million that they didn't have before. So however you see that being spent is however you see that being spent. But the one thing we can all agree on is Spurs technically have 150 million extra money that they can spend wherever they want to, more than they did before. And so
I'm pretty sure that's going into Conte's pocket.
Yeah, and I'm trying to nicely agree with Adam, at that point by saying, like, while we might want to think that might just be invested completely elsewhere, you have to also look at the fact that the club has 150 million more in the piggy bank. Regardless of whether that money gets spent or where it gets spent, there is 150 million more to work with. So that would then tell me that if they need 10 million extra to get a transfer through the door, they might do it, whereas before they probably wouldn't. And we know Spurs, they definitely wouldn't in the past if they had to pay 10 million extra, or maybe this time they are. And probably the whole reason we're even being linked with Richarlison in the first place for 70 million is because maybe we have 150 million extra to work with. Even though I don't think we're going to spend 70 million on Richarlison, it's just that's the whole reason we're even being linked to fees like that is because we have 150 million extra, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think at most Everton get 35 million plus Winks.
I also just love the fact that we've now sold them Winks and Dele Alli. Like, it just seems like, Everton, I feel like they might become our most hated club. Like, Everton might just start hating us more than the scum, might at that stage. Because they'll be in League One if they have Dele Alli.
Well, it's desperate for them to stay up because that's our get out clause for a lot of players. Just shove them onto Everton.
It's the adult under 23s for our Spurs team. It seems like we'll just send them to Everton.
So how much money would you be like? Cooper, I'll come to you on this one, mate. I'd like to have you ever heard the Financial Times as to how you spend it? If you read the Financial Times on the weekend, there's a little segment that's how to spend it. People that have got money, and it's like you can buy a boat, you can buy like a watch, you can buy whatever you want. But it's a how to spend it thing. I'll ask, if you've got 200 million right now as we stand, as we stand right now, you haven't got to put a number necessarily, but just make it realistic. Where would you focus? Like I said to you at the start, like I said to the guys at the start and on the show earlier on, we dropped 25 points, 24 points last season against teams from 8th in the league down that play the low block. We only conceded 5 goals in 11 games. We conceded 8 goals in 16 games, right? So it looks like we're going to go and focus our money on centre backs and maybe some more wing backs. And hopefully Eriksen's going to come in as a free and then we'll get a striker as well. But for me, if we can go and solve for the low block problem, if we got those 24 points, we'd win the league. Those 24 points that we dropped was the difference. I'm not suggesting that we're always going to beat those teams. I know that's a dream world scenario, but that gets you to the league title. If Conte wants to win the league title, for me, improving in that creative spot is more important than anything else. It's more important than a striker, and it's certainly more important than replace. Everything's important. Replacing everything, improving everywhere is important. But for me, being able to solve for the low block issue is the difference between finishing 4th or finishing 2nd or 1st. And so if Eriksen isn't the answer, or if he goes to Man United and we have to then go and spend 80 million on someone like a Milenkovic-Savic, for me, so be it. Do it. Go and get Lenglet on loan. Go and get Bremer. Don't worry about Bastoni. Don't worry about Gvardiol. We'll get them next year when we've got Premier League winners' money, when we got that next level cash. But for me, I think getting that final piece of the jigsaw where you can break down teams who do the low block is the difference between 4th and 2nd or 4th and 1st. Kuva, how would you spend your money if you were Conte and Paratici right now? Where do you go and put that 200 million? Where do you focus your attention?
I thought you weren't doing these long questions anymore. I think I need to go and check out Pathé News to find the start of that one.
Sorry, try my best. Right. I have to throw a little bit of,
Right. For me, a massive part of the problem we had last season is the wing backs, and that is both. That is mainly the attacking side of it,
and it's also how you break down the low block. Sorry.
The amount of times our only option was to pass it into Kane's feet, and there was just nothing wide. It was ridiculous. It was very easy to play against. Brighton in particular shut us off completely because they knew there was, say, Benton did wriggle free or the Højbjerg wriggle free. You want them to have the options. You want to have a couple of wide runners and somebody through the middle. Now, when you haven't got the wing backs doing that, that puts everything on Kane, and then it's suddenly, Kane had a terrible game. He was marked out of it and stuff. You can't blame him. Sometimes you had 4 players on him because that's the only option that was there.
Well, it also just made that so no team respected us when we were out wide with the ball, like Kuva. Like no one thought that we would do anything with it when we had, the ball out wide. They knew that we were dangerous through the middle with Kane and Son, etc. But like the moment that teams just let Emerson and Sessegnon have the ball, like they had no worries that Sessegnon and Emerson were going to do anything with it that could actually cause any sort of damage. And so that's actually the worrisome point is not only does a creative midfielder probably help break down that low block, but like you said, wingbacks also help break it down. And teams are just going to continue to do what Brentford and Brighton did, which is put 8 midfielders in the middle of the pitch and then just see what Sessegnon and Emerson can do out wide to hurt you, which is probably nothing.
And then drop one player a little bit deep to match the run of Sonny. So the long ball's out of the question as well there.
Yeah. So that's the big issue is, and I think, there was a blueprint to beat Spurs. I think I've agreed with Sean about that. At the end of the season, there was a blueprint to beat Spurs. There was a way to kind of catch us out. It's just whether teams decided to go with that blueprint or not was kind of, seemingly the case. The one thing, though, that I did answer every time was I was not worried that there was a blueprint to beat Spurs because I figured with the transfer market, we would fix all of the problems that we had with coming up against low block teams via the transfer market. And with what Sean is saying, if we don't fix the low block situation via the transfer market, I do see us probably continuing to struggle against those low block teams that can just use that blueprint against us.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I think the wing backs are the most essential thing we sign this transfer window. For me, it's got to be 2 right wing backs and another left wing back to work with Perisic.
Or 2 left wing backs and put Perisic on the right.
I wouldn't put Perisic on the right.
He can play very well there.
Yeah, he does, but I mean, you don't play somebody of that caliber out of position when you can work on the other position instead. From my point of view, anyway.
I think it depends on who you get, who's available in the transfer window. Can we go out get a Stupinian and a Windell, get both of them, play them both on the left, and play Doherty and Perisic on the right? Because you could possibly get those two lads for 40 million, both of them, or maybe 50, right? Get the two of them in, get them both playing on the left, get Perisic and Doherty out on the right, and then you've got
it's possible. The point is we definitely do need to address those areas more than anything else.
Yeah.
Regulon clearly looks like he's on the way out, so most of us now.
So Kuba, you think that the solve for the low block problem is the wing backs, not a cam?
Yeah, same.
But if they're low block, then the wing backs can't get in behind anyway, right?
Well, you can't get through the middle if they're going to do low block.
The point was that teams were sitting low. Teams were sitting really low, but teams were also forcing us to play out wide. Like they did not allow us to do anything through the middle.
Yeah.
No matter, and we even saw this the other day with Hungary. Like you saw that with Hungary, the way Hungary played. Even if you put 5 creative midfielders in there, there's still no space in the middle, to be had. So that means that they're asking you to punish them out wide. So you want to have good wing backs,
And as Jack pointed out, you got Emerson on one wing, Sessegnon on the other. Other teams are just letting them have the ball out there because they knew Emerson in particular. They just wait for him to cross it because they knew it was going to come to nothing. Now imagine somebody the quality
or a corner kick.
Crosses aimed at fans in the stands. Crosses aimed at fans in the stands.
But if you get players the caliber of Perisic there or Dumfries, those teams are not going to be leaving them on their own out there. I'll guarantee that.
Yeah,
so it pulls their defence out for a start. You're creating the gaps. And then if you've got pace as well to go with it on those wing backs, the overlapping wing backs, get in behind teams. It doesn't matter how many people they've got behind the ball there. You're getting into a dangerous area. Start cutting in towards goal. They've got to bring even more players out towards there. Freeze up some areas. Late players running late into the box for the cutback. It's there. There are ways of doing it. Exploiting width is always a good way to try and work your way around the low block. And we just haven't had that option. I think Doherty did his part. We improved a bit with that. Kulusevski working with Doherty definitely worked on the right. I think that was a really impressive understanding they had. But there's nothing on the left. It didn't matter who we had in. So that's the crucial bit for me. Get those wing backs sorted out. Our attack improves.
Yeah, I agree with you. I actually haven't thought about it out loud. I haven't heard you justify it. I completely agree. I retract my my initial disdain for your point. Now I'm on board. But I want to posit this to you. If we can, so on that basis, right? If you're saying both of you and Adam and Jack all agreed, then it's the wing backs that are going to be the way forward. Perisic isn't enough on the left, right? If we've only got Sessegnon, we need somebody else. And then if we need someone on the right alongside Jed Spence, if we get rid of Emerson or if Doherty's going to be injured, we definitely need 2 right wing backs, right? We 100% need to go 2. So on that basis, if we're going to have to go and spend 70, 80 million, not even including Hakimi in this, but if we're going to go and spend 25 on Jed Spence and then another 40, 50, whatever on somebody, whether it's a Dumfries, whether it's a Dodo, whether it's any of those guys, if we're going to go that way, and again on the left-hand side as well, whether it's Yilmaz, whether it's Udoki, whatever the guy's name was from Udinese, like any of those, if we're going to double down on these left and right wing backs, then on that basis, is Richarlison at 70 million, Rafinha at 60, Jesus at 60? Is that like all that stuff is money that we don't have to spend here?
I don't think you're doubling down on the right side, though, Sean. When you talk about 25 million on Spence and then getting 2 more, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that Spence is one of the 2 wingers that are going to come in. So I think Doherty and Spence on the right is what's going to happen. And I think
but Doherty's injured. Doherty's injured until at least October.
Sure. But I think we need we on that particular thing, it's a case of having to completely not really rely that Conte knows what he's doing, that Spence is the guy who's able to come in and do the magic that we know Conte can do with the wing backs. So Spence will come in and he'll start the season and he'll be training with Perisic as well. You'll eventually have Doherty coming back as the as the second option, and it's a case of, okay, if Spence comes in as the right wing, fine. Have somebody else coming in like a Windal come in and play behind Perisic. Perisic again can play on either side, so even if Doherty is out and fucked, then we get Perisic playing out on the right if Spence is not doing great, and we have a new left wing back. But I don't think it's a case of having to get 3 new wingers, including Spence. I think it's Spence.
No, I didn't. Sorry, I might have misspoken. I meant if we're going to get Jed Spence, I think we'd all agree that if we look at our right wing back options in September and it's Spence, Emerson, and Doherty, we've still got a problem on the right potentially, unless because Jed Spence is a punt, right? We don't know how good he's going to be, how ready he is. He's a risk, right? So, and Doherty's going to be injured. So what I mean is we probably go in, if we get Jed Spence and then somebody else is what I meant. Right? So not 2 more, but 1 more, and then if we go and get 1 more to help out on the left. So it would
but that's what I'm saying. I don't think.
Okay. Sorry.
I think it's Spence, Doherty, and we may have still have Emerson, or Emerson may go.
Oh, I think
if he buys Spence, he's fully riding on Spence.
Wow. That's a worry. That's a concern for me.
Mm-hmm.
See, for me, that is not a Conte signing.
It's a Levy signing, Jed Spence.
It's a relative unknown. I'm taking a punt on him.
Well, it's a homegrown signing who has the potential of being, huge, and has the potential of being, invaluable, to the team. But he also has the chance of falling flat on his face and doing absolutely nothing. So, I mean, it screams of a Levy signing, actually, for that reason.
Which why I agree with Sean about. That's why I think we need to get 2 in there, because
1 more.
You get Jed Spence, you get someone like a Dumfries on that. Yeah, I'll be happily go with that.
And then someone on the left.
And someone on the left. So that's what I mean. So you need three there, plus a centre back, plus a cam, plus a striker.
He won't do it.
He
won't do it though. Even if that's what you would like, ideally, that's not going to happen. He's not bringing in 3 more wingers. He brought in Perisic, and if he brings in Spence, we'll be lucky if he brings in 1 more after that. He ain't bringing in 2 more. Not happening.
Then I don't want Spence.
But, I agree, but that is what we'd ideally would want.
Yeah. I just think I was saying this earlier. If you look over the last 3-4 seasons under Jose, under Nuno, under Ryan Mason, and also to a degree under Conte, when teams play against us, they focus their offensive actions down their left-hand side. They always used to target Serge Aurier. They always targeted Emerson or Doherty when we had them. We've never replaced Kyle Walker. And if we start the season with Jed Spence, Emerson, and an injured Matt Doherty as our right wing back options, I don't care how good everything else looks. I would still say that's like Scott M was saying, there's no chance it's a 10 out of 10 window. But for me, it's definitely not a 10 out of 10 window. Because Jed Spence, listen, I'd love to be proven wrong if it's happening, and there's definitely no smoke without fire. It's been touted everywhere. So there's definitely something happening there. But if it does happen and he's the only guy that comes in to improve our, right wing back spot, for me, I think we're still massively vulnerable there. That would be the weak link of the team, unless Jed Spence just hits the ground running and becomes some superstar. But I've not seen anything, and nobody has seen anything, not Conte, not anybody. Nobody has seen him do it consistently at a high enough level to know with enough confidence that he's going to be able to do it against Bayern Munich in the Champions League, or against Manchester City, or against whoever, Liverpool. I don't think there's enough data about this guy at a high enough level to be able to have confidence that he's the answer. He might well be, but for me, it's too much of a risk. So for such a key position, Jack, what do you think, mate? I think that we need to improve. We need something better than Jed Spence.
Despite everything I just said about the wingbacks, and being like the position that we do need to improve on the most in order to fix that low block issue, the big dilemma that comes with the wingbacks is that the best wingbacks in the world are not really available to us. Like Hakimi is not really available. So I've heard, despite people saying it, it's not really true. At least so I've been told. In the case of Alphonso Davies, Teo Hernandez, we both know those guys aren't available. They're never going to be available. So what kind of disappoints me is we know that the wingbacks probably need the most improving and the most dramatic improving, yet the options available to us are not nearly as good as the creative midfield options, the left-sided center back options, or anything. We don't really have world-class wingbacks to choose from. And I think that is kind of the tough part is, do you overspend on a wingback that might not even really be world class or anything? Like you might be spending 30 to 40 million for a wingback that probably isn't worth 30 to 40 million. Or do you go for a wingback that you know might just be better bang for your buck, and you know that Conte might be the best player or best manager in the world with wingbacks, so maybe you just don't need necessarily the best wingbacks in the world. My point being, I think he deserves the best wingbacks in the world. I would rather he go all out for the big players. To be honest, instead of Jed Spence, the Nahuel Molina one is an interesting one, because with Molina, I believe he's really good friends with Romero. And then he's also been playing in the Serie A as a right wing back for like 2 seasons straight. So he's very comfortable in that position. And I think Kuva can back me up on this. The guy has like 9 goals or something from like that position. Like some of the goals that he's actually had from a right wing back position are almost like strikers finishes from like outside the box. Yeah, he's almost, I don't even know, like in terms of delivery, not the next Trent, but like actually finishing ability, ridiculous. Like that guy is like a striker as a right wing back. So he's not really my first choice, Molina, but I agree with you, Sean. Like I said everything about how we need to improve the wing backs dramatically. Jed Spence does not fit that bill. Like he just doesn't. You need someone much better than that. You need someone that you know is going to be quality right away. To be fair, Nahuel Molina, I think is a good shout. He's not my first choice, but I think he's a great shout. I've said Ridley Baku before lots of times, but I just never see that happening. So I'm not going to suggest that one. Dumfries is interesting because everybody on my channel, Sean, doesn't like Dumfries, which I think is interesting. Yeah. When I did the review, I did a video where I did Singo versus Dumfries and like a stats comparison. And all of them said that Dumfries is just an Emerson who can like score at the back post. That's what they said. They said he's really poor in possession. They say he's really bad at giving away the ball. They say he's actually not a good ball carrier. He's not a good dribbler. I can't say that because every time I've watched Denzel Dumfries, he's been amazing. Like when I've seen him.
Same.
Yeah, I think he's amazing as well.
I feel like I've watched only his good games. Maybe I've only watched his good games. But I will say, Sean, there were like 20 people in my comments saying like, "Don't get Dumfries, don't get Dumfries, don't get Dumfries."
There is so few. You know what though?
There's so few to choose from. There's so few
running backs. But even if that is the case, that he's a tap-in specialist, like Matt Doherty did really well in the tail half of the season by tapping in goals. Again, he did it at Leeds. He did it at Leicester. You know, there's goals. He didn't tap in the goal in Leicester, but he created it for Bergwijn. There's you know, he was playing like when Sessegnon was getting forward and whipping the ball in, or when Reguilon was doing it. Doherty was doing the job of he was there at the back post to take advantage, right? So there's nothing wrong with that.
And Dumfries is a menace at the back post. He's a menace at the back post. Like he will win that header. He will win that. You know that.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. I don't think that's a bad thing. Though. I don't know why everyone. Well, it is what it is.
Nahuel Molina is the interesting one. Nahuel Molina is the interesting one because I think it was like 9 goals and like 2 assists or something like that for Udinese, for like a mid-table Serie A team in a position that he's been playing comfortably for 2 seasons. Also Argentinian international, apparently good friends with Romero. You could see that like making sense. But we do need homegrown players, so that's the other issue.
Well, talking of homegrown players, I'm not sure if this guy would count as a homegrown player in Europe. Let me ask you this, guys. Cooper, I'll come to you first. We've just signed the fella from. We just signed. I think we're about to sign the fella from Rangers as a scout, right? The chief scout. I forget his name off the top of my head. Can't think of his name right now.
Can't remember.
What about Tavernier? 18 goals, 17 assists.
Isn't he like 30 odd as well? Then we have 2.
He's 29, yeah. So he's getting on, but he's done it. And when you look at his stats, you could argue, he's done it against Hibernian on a Thursday night. But he's also done it. He scored 8 goals and had 7 assists, I think it was, in the Europa League. Right?
And captaincy
he's 30
as well. He's got leadership quality.
Yeah. So is that an answer? Like, is this guy someone that we should be going after, Kuva?
Yeah, possibly. I don't buy into this that there's not a lot of wing back options around. I think the choice is limited when you're looking at the elite wing backs.
Yeah, you're probably
the
right.
absolute top of the game.
I think that's what I meant.
We just need to find somebody who's very good because Conte will do the rest. He'll shape the team. He'll improve the players. that we're looking at somebody that can turn into that next world-class player because of Conte. And there's loads of them about. I mean, I'm getting a bit stale now repeating it, but I look at Leicester and think they got 3 right wing backs on the books at the moment.
Target.
Any of those would fit in lovely.
Yeah.
Pereira, Castagna, and Justin.
James Justin. Yeah, well, there you go. If we could go and get James Justin, then you've got.
I'd be really like Ricardo Pereira is also interesting because Ricardo Pereira, I think I saw some interview of Leicester City players a long time ago, and it was like one of those ones where it's like, remember when Spurs players were asked like about Moussa Dembele, and they all said like this guy doesn't deserve to play with us, like sort of thing, or like we don't deserve to play with him, I think was the answer they gave. I've heard Leicester City give similar answers about Pereira. Apparently they think he's like the most technically gifted player in the team or like something like that, or one of the best players in the team. So.
Boys, bear me 1 second because I'm meaning to get to this first super chat, and he's dropped in 2 more subsequently. I haven't had a chance to. My friend, my man from Wolves. How you doing, buddy? How you doing? He says, I can't chat, only subscribers, but can't either subs every channel, but that's okay. I just put the subscriber thing on because it's like when I look at the analytics on my channel, it's like 40% are subscribers and 60% are unsubscribers, or not subscribed. So I just want to put it on, just being greedy and selfish, trying to get people who want to communicate to subscribe to the channel, for me. But all you got to do is hit the subscribe button. You can chat immediately. I love you, man. I really appreciate you stopping by. Thank you so much for the kind gesture, buddy. It's wonderful. And then he's followed up with a comment. I think he's responding to Aaron. I think Aaron was saying that he was getting some stick earlier on the football terrace from people in the comments. I didn't see that. And he's saying, oh, Aaron, that's okay. I think it was friendly. You certainly didn't need to put that in a super chat, buddy. But again, like much love, absolute much love. And the big one straight away after that, mate, you don't have to do this. It's amazing. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. But he says, but hey, I don't want to subscribe to every Premier League channel, and for that reason, I can't chat. I can chat in super chats, mate. All you got to do is hit the subscribe button. You don't have to do super chats. I super appreciate it. It's far too generous, my friend. Like I say, all you got to do is press the subscribe button. No one's going to know. And if you're worried about too many people seeing you, and then you can come in and chat for free, buddy. I really appreciate it, mate. It means the world to me that you would do that. And stick around, buddy. I love you. I'll see you on the Irish Hotspur all the time. So much appreciated. Unbelievable. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, where did we get to? Can we play a game now? Because it's kind of the same content, but I just want to break it up a little bit with a little game. If that's okay with you? Have you still got time? Or you guys got to run away? Still got time? Okay.
Oh, good.
Okay. All right, so we're going to do this one. What we're going to do. Happy enough? How are you happy enough? Would you be happy enough if we played this game right now? Let me get it up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Where am I going? Here we go. Which one of these options would make you happy enough? I played this game the other day with the other guys, but I want to get your opinions as well. This is the back five setup. I'm going to give you 6 options. Tell me which one of them would make you happy enough. Ah, yeah. And there's a couple of constants. We've got Perisic on the left-hand side of the wing-back spot and Romero on the right centre-back spot that are constants in all of the 6 options. But in the other 6, the left-sided centre-back, the central centre-back and the right wing-back are all swapped out. So I want to hear you guys. Which one would make you happy enough? With this one, option 1, Gvardiol, Eric Dyer, and Jed Spence, or option 2, Mr. Bastoni with Eric Dyer and Jed Spence, or option 3, Ben Davies, Eric Dyer, and Hakimi, or option 4, Ben Davies, Bremer, and Dumfries. Option 5, Pau Torres, Eric Dyer, and Dumfries. Or option 6, a complete change, Clement Lenglet, Sven Botman, and Jed Spence. Who wants to go first? Which one?
Option
which one of those
two.
would make you happy enough?
Option 2. I'm actually I should never run this football club because I was actually quite satisfied with a few of those. So I should probably not run this football club because I clearly accept a lot. Clearly I'm quite happy with a lot of things. Maybe I'm just too happy of a person. So I'm just going to say option 2 is definitely the one that it's actually not even my favorite, Sean, but I know it's the one that I think Conte might be most happy with because he gets his Bastoni.
That's a very good point. Whatever Conte wants, that's what I want.
It's not my preferred choice, but I think it's the one that Conte probably might be happy with.
Yeah. Okay. Adam.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm as much as I definitely would be again over the moon if Bastoni came in. I still have a very strong sense that our best backline would include Gvardiol. So maybe option 1 would probably be better for me. I think go for Spence because I do think that I think option 1 because I think Gvardiol is more of a boss than Bastoni is, and Bastoni is like he's good going forward, but our back 5 are the 3 center backs and the two central mids. Those are the solid kind of rock foundation that we're building our attack from, and then that arrow at the front with the wing backs and the 3 front lads.
Yeah,
that's the attack. So I don't need my center backs doing too much progression, especially when we don't press very high. So Gvardiol, I think, is as much of a rock on the left as Romero is on the right, and Dyer is just there marshalling the two of them. Do you know what I mean? And eventually, I'd bring in a Bremer. eventually.
Okay.
And I think Spence, I think Spence could do the job out on the right, and Perisic is obviously, an absolute, he's a legend. That would do, I think. That would make me happy.
So you want Jed Spence? Okay, interesting. For me, it's this one all day long.
Just because Hakimi's coming in.
Yeah, because I just think it's, I just, like, yes,
We're too weak with Dyer and Davis.
Yeah, but are we though? We only conceded 15 goals. We conceded 8 goals in 16 in the last 16 games of the season. With these
okay, sorry. Let me put it this way then. I think
not even these 3. For a few of them, Romero wasn't even there. We had Sanchez in.
Sanchez can come in when Dyer needs a break. Sanchez can come in when Romero needs a break. No one can come in when Davis needs a break. So we need a left-sided centre back, man.
That's a good point.
We need one.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. Okay, so you would take. So what was
Gvardiol would be
you went for this one, Gvardiol.
Yeah.
Okay, Kuba, just before I come to you, I'm just going to bring up some of the other people's opinions. Option 3 for Terry Wright. He wants to see Hakimi in the back line as it is. Kutlona Pena wants to see option 6. Oh, excuse me. He wants to see a complete swap out. He wants to see Davies and Dyer gone and Clement Lenglet coming in with Sven Botman. Love that name. And Jed Spence on the right. Marco Haume wants to see Sorry if I'm butchering your name there, buddy. He wants to see number 4. He wants Gleison Bremer. He wants the muscles. He wants the muscles in. Hotspur thinks this one or Pau Torres. Interesting. And Scott M thinks number 6. Same again. Okay. Kuvo, which way do you favour?
Was there more than one option with Hakimi?
No, you can. No, there wasn't. But you could create your own masterpiece if you'd like. I don't mind. I'll let you have the option.
Well, if I can create my own, that's a whole different matter altogether. Well, Bastoni and Bremer and Hakimi.
Okay.
For the money, though. For the money.
Yeah. Blow the whole budget on that. I don't care.
Well, there you go. That's interesting, right? That probably is possible, right? If you were to go and spend, or you could probably go and do that, but that means there's no
money for forwards.
No money for Richarlison or even anyone else, right?
No, what you want to do is go Hakimi, Bremer, get Longley on loan.
Yeah.
And then have money, instead of have the Bastoni money for a striker. So
that would be Hakimi. Let's say, what do we agree? Hakimi's going to be ridiculous money, like 80, 90 million, probably something like that, maybe more. Bremer's going to be 40, 50 million. So you're talking 130. Lenglet on the loan. And then you could go and get your boy, if you can get Christian Eriksen on a free, and then maybe Emmanuel Dennis. That's a 10 out of 10 window. Is that a 10 out of 10 window?
I'll tell you what, though, this option 6 is good value for money.
Yeah. How much would Botman cost? I don't know. Jack, do you know how much Botman would cost?
I think he cost around 30 to 40 million is supposedly like the rumored fee, because I think he almost went for that in January, if I recall. I think he almost went to Newcastle for like 35 million euros. So
wow,
I think it'll be something around that, 35 million euros, 40 million euros.
Guys, forgive me. I just got a text message and I'm going to have to love yous and leave yous. I need to go make a quick dash in the car. So
thank you so much for coming on. Love you, Adam. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to Mainstay Island. Get away from those rural, beautiful areas where you're
back in the big smoke, back in the pale. Yeah. No, thanks for having me on, Sean. Guys, it's been a pleasure as always.
Good to have you, Adam.
Cheers, Adam, mate. Appreciate you so much.
Cheers, Adam.
Please have me back on whenever you want me.
You're always welcome. Always welcome.
Amazing. Thanks,
Catch you, Adam.
Thanks, mate.
Chat you soon.
Oh, fuck, I forgot to ask him if he had a channel he wanted. He doesn't have a channel, does he? Doesn't have a channel at all.
He has his film company, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Shit. Oh.
Well,
I'm not sure.
I'll look it up and I'll put it in. All
right, quickly, another super chat from Wolves FL. Mate, I love you to pieces. You don't need to do this, my friend. It's so generous of you, but I really appreciate it. But you don't need to do it. He's saying, I believe in Spurs signed Jed Spence. He's named EPL Player of the Month in September and going to sink. Also, Los Blancos Estadio Santiago Bernabeu, UEFA Champions League Game 2. Oh, he thinks he's going to sink against Real Madrid at the Bernabeu. 2 goals and an assist. Spurs win 3-1. Holy shit, what a prediction that is. We don't even know who's in the Champions League yet. If this is true,
I'm going to put a pound on right now.
Yeah. A combo bet for, first of all, for Jed Spence to sign, second for him to get Player of the Month, and then also conditionally that Tottenham happen to play Champions League football against Real Madrid, and he gets 2 goals and an assist. What a prediction, mate. Mr. Wolves FL, thank you so much. You honestly, mate, it means the world to me to have the support, but you really don't need to do that, mate. I'll call your comments up. Just subscribe to the channel, and I'll call your comments up like everybody else's. But thank you so much, my friend.
Can you go through those last 3 options here? 4, 5.
Yeah, sure. Number 4.
What's the worst one?
For me, it's got Pau Torres in it. For me, the worst one is that one. I don't want Pau Torres at all.
I'd agree with that one. Too. That might be the worst one. What was yours again, Sean? Did you get convinced by the Hakimi, against the Hakimi argument, or did you still stick with the Hakimi?
I went with this initially, but I only put Hakimi in one option because I think he was going to cost too much money. And I don't even know. There's no links to him, so we're all just dreamland scenario with him. But I'm also okay with. Like I said, I looked at the stats. We conceded 8 goals in the last 15 games. It's if that run can continue next season in a world where it did. And that didn't
how much
even
better
include,
can the defense get? Yeah.
How much better can the defense get? Like, you're not going to go through the season not conceding. And to only concede 20 goals in a season would be fantastic. And that's the run of form that these 3 guys created for us. And in fact, it wasn't just these 3, because Romero wasn't even available for the last 3 or 4 games of the season when we didn't concede. So, like, Sanchez came in and did a job as well. So for me, I get it. And I get Adam's point 100% that we have a somewhat of a backup for Romero, somewhat of a backup for Dyer. We have no backup for Davies. So Davies is, if Davies gets injured, we're in trouble. I totally understand that. And that's definitely why I think we need to bring one in. But I'd be okay getting Clement Lenglet. Like, imagine if I should have done option 7. This exactly the same, but just have Lenglet in for Ben Davies. And then for me, that's an absolute winner.
Yeah, that could be convincing. That could be very convincing. And I'd be pretty silly to argue against that one because, like I said, I put a big emphasis on the wingbacks despite me still picking option 2. Clearly, I'm all over the place.
No, JJ Salem said exactly the same thing. I think he said it before me, actually. I've just seen it now.
Yeah, why not? Long lane Hakimi. There you go, JJ.
Here we go. Thank you, Jack. I've got Adam's website. Ladies and gentlemen, I always like to put up links for the guys that come on. I haven't done it throughout the stream yet. I'll do it in a second. But if anyone is interested, and you should be, this guy is an absolute superstar. Adam William Cahill. He's a director. If you want to follow his story, if you're interested, then get over to the followthedead.com and you can find his social channels there and show him the support because he's a brilliant contribution to this channel and to all the channels that he goes on. Thank you, Adam, if you're still watching, mate.
Movie got released in 2020. I remember him plugging it, I think, just last year as well, too. And I think it was made over the pandemic, maybe, the movie as well. So everybody show Adam the support.
Right. How much time we got? We'll do 20 more minutes, boys, and then we'll wrap up. I've got some other game. I've got something else I want to ask you. Very, very much. I want you to tell me. Let's get the thing up for a second. Where is it? Make the case. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to make the case. Kuva and Jack. I'm going to come to Kuva first on this one. Who has the higher value? And by that, I mean, who, if someone came bidding 250 million quid and they said, I'll take either Harry Kane or Heung-min Son, who does Daniel Levy, Paratici, and Conte say, whatever the numbers, whatever, if it's not 250, if it's 400 million, but I want one, who is more or less valuable to Club Tottenham Hotspur? Harry Kane or Heung-min Son? Son Heung-min.
Who's the most valuable to us in terms of what? Financial or on the pitch?
Oh, in terms of if someone came and said, write me a check, and you wrote a check that was good enough to buy either of those two, 300 million quid, 200
Would
million
one
quid.
be more than the other? Yeah.
Which one would you rather let go of?
Kane. And I'm a huge Harry Kane fan, but Heung-min Son, pin-up boy for half of Asia, isn't he? We've made a hell of a lot of good friends on, not just online, Koreans and people from Asia coming over just to show that, express their love for the player and how well he's doing for us. He brings joy to the team when he scores goals. He's a beaming smile. He's model professional. So is Kane, of course, but Son has that sort of phenomenon value to him overseas, and you can't really replicate that with anybody else. He's for us right now. He is the man. As much as Kane is for a lot of people, but you have to look at the larger picture and really see his value on a global scale. It's Heung-min Son. He's had a sensational season as well.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Okay. Jacko?
I think I agree with Kuva there. And to be honest, you could even put it this way, like Sonny more or less is like the LeBron James of, like Korea. Like the guy is like, could probably not even walk like one step outside of his house without people, just there being swarms and crowds and everything. Whereas like with Harry Kane, I think it's somewhat similar, but not entirely the same. Whereas like, I think just the other day, Harry Kane was walking around Manhattan and nobody knew who the hell he was. I find that like kind of awesome, like to a degree that, over in the States, like no one knows who Harry Kane is, but actually there are probably more people in the States who might know who Sonny is. I'm not even kidding. Like my own girlfriend who doesn't even watch football at all, actually somehow for some reason knew who Son Heung-min was before she knew who Harry Kane was for some reason. And I can't even explain how that is. And so I think that's just part of but then again though, like we're sometimes always talking about the market. We're talking about the market value of like Sonny. I think if you were to compare them as footballers, they're such world-class footballers that I think like even making the argument that one is like more valuable than the other is just kind of silly because they've proven to be the best partnership practically of the last 30, 40 years of like any striking partnership. So it's almost like Harry Kane's career isn't without Sonny's career. Sonny's career isn't without Harry Kane's career. I think they'd still have achieved plenty without each other. But in my opinion, I think when you do just look at selling kits, selling jerseys, notoriety, one's also very good looking and is a supermodel as well. In the case of Sonny, it's just, I don't know, everything about Sonny. He is the most sellable asset in the world. I would say there's nothing about Sonny that you couldn't sell, if that makes sense. Like everything about him is sort of perfect when you're trying to sell some sort of product, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. Sonny. I 100% agree with you guys. 100%.
And also the best Asian footballer practically already of all time. He's practically already taken that sort of title as well. So I don't know. Sonny has in a way achieved so much already that it is him. And also, he just signed a new contract with Spurs, so it would take more to buy him out of the contract than it would Harry Kane. That's another way to look at it.
Yeah, for me, the answer is I completely agree with you guys. I think I 100% Sonny is the more valuable. I love both of them. Don't want either of them to ever leave. Ben Kaufman is here saying it's a perfect way to finish. He's saying still live. Shawnee, you're a machine. I think it's about perfect time to wrap it up. 2 hours and 44 minutes following a 2-hour stream today. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap it up right now. Let me just grab the links for the Irish Hotspur and, of course, for Flat Talk Show. Flat. What's it called? Flat Cap Euro Talk. There we go. And also, whatever channel Cooper decides to plug this afternoon. I always give Cooper first dibs.
Let's go for it. Don't need to plug Jack and Dave's channel. It's doing pretty well without me having a big amount. Everybody knows who they are. No problem. So I'll go, and since it's usually Shelfside Spurs, but they're not on at the moment, having a hiatus. So it's got to be my mate Bob Spur TV.
Bob Spur TV.
Where the craziness continues to happen. Okay. And some of it's football related, but not too much.
Jack, what is happening at Player? Before we get, Jack, 1 second. Bob Spur TV, absolute wonderful channel. Love him. I'm getting to know him more and more, but as every day passes, he's a wonderful human being and love the guy. So please get over to Bob Spur's channel. It's a fantastic place to spend some time, especially on Saturday nights. I don't know if he does things during the week, but Saturday nights is where you want to be if you're hanging around in the UK about 11 p.m. or in the early evening in America on the East Coast. Bob Spur TV is a fantastic place. Please get over there. Hit the link, guys, on behalf of Kuba and smash that subscribe button. But before we go any further, Jack, what is coming up on Flat Cap Euro Talk? The link is in the chat, guys, as well. Amazing channel. So underrated. Please, guys, get over and do it. Jack, what's happening?
As Chris would probably say on my behalf, Winky lovers, Harry Winks lovers, very much welcome at Flat Cap Euro Talk. But everybody, I'm going to be pretty much just doing at least once a week. I've been sticking pretty good with it. I do at least one live stream a week. I think people are probably pretty used to me not doing very many live streams, but I am going to try to increase it. I'm kind of holding to that with one stream a week. It's usually about transfer news regarding Spurs, if there's enough to work with. If not, then I usually have the benefit of being able to talk about things not so Spurs related. So if you do have kind of just an affinity for just talking about football in general, not even just about Spurs, I think you will like that channel. Also, just a quick plug, Sean, I'm actually editing right now David and I's Premier League prediction video from one of my first ever videos on the channel. I'm doing a reaction video to it, and I'm actually editing it down right now because my reaction was about 2 hours long. So I am going to edit
Sounds like
one
of my questions.
So I'm going to have to find a way to edit it down to about 30-ish minutes. So everybody, when that is uploaded, feel free to check out that video. I will say there's some hilarious predictions that have come out. I even somehow predicted Dean Smith to get the sack, but then I still put them in 9th position in the table, which doesn't make any sense. So, things like that.
Nice. Find that, guys. You've got the Irish Hotspur channel as well. That's in the link in the comments. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a long day of streaming for me. I've done 2 different streams today, but I'm so grateful for Jack, for Adam, and for Kuba to share this last couple of hours with me. I hope it was somewhat enjoyable, somewhat informative, and I hope you can all get behind us signing Emmanuel Dennis as our backup striker. That's the one. That's the Spurs Talk Show number 1 choice. I think it's Jack's number 1 choice as well. Yeah. Kuva, I think you're still. Who you go? Who's your number 1 choice?
Richarlison.
He likes
Richarlison.
Purely because he's the one that can fill Kane's boots from the more direct approach when needed.
And he's the only guy that can do this thing as well. It's a great celebration.
Plus, of course, I'd just love to see them coming out of the tunnel at the start of the game, and he's already had a punch up with Romero, so they're in the mood for it.
Celebration is so funny.
Derek Smith saying a nice little thing, man. Derek, thank you so much for the membership. He's saying a pleasurable way to spend an evening. Just think some people are watching soaps and reality shows on TV. The poor deluded masses. Great show, gentlemen. Wonderful thing to say. Just before I let everyone go, I've got to call out the guys that made the show, or at least help the show grow today. We've got Chris as a brand new member. Thank you so much. Nick at Lazy 8, my man. And also, like I said, guys, if you do want anyone to do your thumbnails, your graphics, your video editing, all that stuff, let me know and I'll put you in touch with Nick. He's absolutely phenomenal at that stuff. Wonderful. Thank you so much for your support, Nick. Also, Derek Smith, buddy, love you, man. Last final message was fantastic, and also your support today. Faz Radfar for the super chat. The bottom Duta for the super chat. Tottenham Gold, starting on Saturday, relaunching under the new banner, the new logo, the new team. It's going to be fantastic to watch. I will certainly be there. Make sure you are too. And also Wolves FL just going mental with the super chats. I absolutely adore you all. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back tomorrow, no doubt, whether it's with my dog or whether it's on a live stream. You can catch me on the channel and trying to catch up for all of my lost content or missed content last week. Ellie's saying, brilliant job. Thank you so much, Ellie. Appreciate you. So is everybody else. Oh, my God. Just before we go.
Legend.
What an absolute insane man this guy is. You don't have, mate, I don't know what to say.
Come on, you Wolves. Oopsie strong.
Come on, you Wolves.
Should we give him our favorite Wolves player? Maybe just for sake, name our favorite Wolves player. Because Sean, we found out that you have a soft spot for Timo Pukki, which was.
I do have. I also have a soft spot for Ruben Neves. Like, can we get him, or is that possible?
I have a soft spot. I have a soft spot for Raul Jimenez because I think this is a funny thing. I think I've been, full of things that are not very normal of me to say, but a bit more humorous than I usually am. But I would say Jimenez, I think, replaced Giroud as the most handsome striker in the league when Giroud left the Premier League. I think Jimenez is now the new, best looking, sort of striker in the Premier League.
Super good
looking. So I'm a big Raul Jimenez fan. Also, apparently, he's from Mexico City, which is an absolute glorious city as well. So I would say there you are, Raul Jimenez.
And Kuva, who's your favorite Wolves player?
Difficult one. I quite like Daniel Podence. I think he's.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice
crafty.
Answer.
He's tricky.
Yeah.
Mate, Wolves FL. I don't know what your first name is. Please reach out to me. My email is in the description. I need to say thank you to you, mate. You never need to do that, man. It blows my mind that you would do that. I really appreciate it so much, so very much. Thank you so much. But please just get in touch with me, man. I'd love to have you on the stream. I know you frequent a lot of the Tottenham streams. I'm sure you must also frequent a lot of the other teams' channels that we don't see you on. But an absolute legend. Means the world. I don't know what else to say. I'm embarrassed. All right, guys. That's it.
I know. Another Wolves player. Max Kilman.
Right. Left-sided centre back, too.
Quality, yeah.
Could also play left-sided centre back.
In fact, let's take him instead of some of those other defenders we're talking
right.
about.
I didn't think about that.
Everyone's chiming in with their favourite Wolves player. Guys, thank you so much, everyone. Love you. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you to everyone who's contributed in the comments and on the panel. Love you all. See you again. And as always, guys, bye-bye.